So here's the CBC report, where it's PEI, which is a tiny island and a province of its own in Canada on the eastern side of Canada. So it's around like Halifax and further east than New Brunswick. It's like that little island off to the side there. It's best known for potatoes, because of course it is. PEI RCMP put out a call for information on woman missing since June 17th. Go away. There we go. Alora, 30, has ties with both Western PEI and the province of Quebec. There's an image of her. RCMP on PEI have put out a call for information on a woman who was last seen in mid-June after receiving a call from someone as they described as a concerned citizen. The last known sighting of Alora was on June 17th in Borden, Carleton, the village that is home to the PEI end of the Confederation Bridge linking the province to New Brunswick. She's 30 years old, she's 5 foot 10 inches, weighs 140 pounds, and has brown curly hair. She speaks both French and English. RCMP, I think that's Corporal? CPL? Gavin Moore says the investigation began this weekend when police got a call expressing worry about her. Quote, "This is a high priority file," he said. Quote, "We make efforts to follow up with all known contacts to that individual, ellipses. We reach out to make sure nobody who may come across them will let us know." He expects police will be conducting interviews and checking through any available surveillance video as they search for her. Moore said that she has links to both Prince Edward Island, PEI, and Quebec, and her last known address was in Western PEI. Quote, "When someone goes missing, it has deep and far-reaching impacts for the person and those that know them," said a post on the Facebook page maintained by the RCMP. Quote, "We ask that people spread word through social media respectfully. Both Prince District RCMP and the Force's Major Crime Unit are investigating. Anyone with any information about her is asked to call the Prince District RCMP at 902-436-9300. Information can also be shared anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 8477. So, for anybody who doesn't recognize this woman, she was Mama JF. She is married to this motherfucker. For anybody who recognizes this motherfucker. So, JF addressed the disappearance of his mentally handicapped girlfriend, Mama JF, and disclosed that he is under federal investigation by the RCMP in her disappearances. Quote, "I am woken up by the feds every morning. They're knocking at my window." And the follow-up from the, June 20th, days after Mama JF went missing, JF took 3 days off of his show and talked about deep cleaning his home after she left. This is from the beginning of the streams. So we have these streams. He's also been doing the rounds and doing some interviews, needless to say. Now he's probably being swatted. This is Canada. He can't be swatted, and SWAT doesn't work like that here. There are extreme situations, but it doesn't work that way. You'd have to try really, really, really hard to swat someone in Canada. Feds knock on the door every day. You know what they do to all innocent people. Well, just having the feds show up and question you isn't quite enough. But let's hear what JF actually has to say and see if there's anything worthwhile.
Something personal that I'm forced to talk about at this point. It's
Oh, sorry. Before we go into this, we should probably, for anybody who is the uninitiated of who this fucking guy is. This fucking guy. Born 1984, French-Canadian white nationalist, former neuroscience researcher, and alt-right political commentator. Hosted a YouTube channel, The Public Space, before launching his current channel, JF Tonight. where he calls for the creation of a white ethno-state, promotes anti-Semitic messages, and advocates for the genetic superiority of white people. The Anti-Defamation League lists the public space among white supremacist channels. Has been described as a standard bearer for the alt-right. If I'm not mistaken, there was a list in here. Oh god, yeah, of course he hangs out with Nick Fuentes and Sargon. Yes, correct. There was a whole fucking thing. Received $25,000 from Jeffrey Epstein to start the non-profit organization Nero TV, which was dedicated to education on science and philosophy via YouTube. Asked whether he felt any regrets for having taken money from the sex offender, he said, quote, "I'd cash a check sent straight from the devil if it could allow me to advance science or science education, ellipses. I did know about the earlier conviction of Epstein when I accepted the money. I didn't know of the most recent allegations, though, which are worse than I thought. In any case, I do not regret taking the money. Evil people are just evil." Later that year, requested additional funding from Epstein to finance his book. Good. There was also like a really big thing about his he was trying to marry or be with a 19-year-old who was mentally challenged, and he went to court over that. But let's listen to this and see.
I've been wanting to keep it relatively calmer and less public, but I've been forced by the various events because people have discovered about it, and so I might as well talk about it instead of letting rumors develop and all of the messy information that can stem from it. So yeah, it's the disappearance of Mama JF. Mama JF has been disappearing in the sense of not leaving any contact, not leaving information about where she was. And I titled my episode "The Cost of Liberty" because I didn't want any of this. I'm just a family guy, and I've always been wanting to provide and secure for people around me.
He's a provider, guys. You always know, like, that a dude is secure and in good shape when he's just like, I'm just a provider. There are no strings attached. There's no anything going on there.
But there is one thing I cannot do in our society. I cannot stop you from doing crazy stuff. I cannot stop you from exposing yourself to risks when you say the words, I want to do it. When you claim your own liberty, you are on your own, and I cannot do anything to protect you. And so that...
Why does that sound like if she like got hit by a car if she was like, I'm leaving you, I want to go and do whatever, and then she got like hit by a car out front, he would just be like, well, you know, that's your own liberty, whatever. Like, that would like too bad, and then would just close the door and like leave her to like bleed out on the street. Like, are you kidding me?
I don't know if Mama JF is in danger. I don't know where she is. But at this point, I'm forced to talk about it because people are spreading rumors on the internet. Because, so I'll just give you my my perspective on all of this, and you know, people are accusing me of murder on the internet. It's like, you guys don't know. You guys don't know the police. I've been speaking with the feds on an everyday basis.
That's not normal. It's not normal for somebody to have left you and then you to be for them to have last known location, and then for them to be the feds to normally be checking in with you like that. That's not the way. You guys don't know the police. Yeah, okay, do you? What is it with people? What is with all these people on the internet and just misrepresenting like the things that police do all the time? My goodness. There's one thing in here, and we do have. I know EMP is in the chat, or like he was earlier. I'd love to get a body language read on this guy. I'd be curious to know. And I mean, I'm not surprised that people on the internet are accusing him, because I think no matter how vague or how much it did seem like he did or didn't, I think people would be doing that anyway, because people hate JF because he's kind of just a douchey piece of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, he doesn't realize how bad this makes him look even if she's alive and well. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree with that. And if you are interested in body language-y type videos, definitely check out Exploratory Minds' YouTube channel, which I'm sure they can link in the chat. We'll make sure that it goes through.
For a couple of days now, for maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple of days. For a couple of days, I've been speaking to the police on a regular basis. So it all stems from Mama JF, you guys know, and I've stated it publicly. In June, she left. She didn't want, I mean, it's not even clear why she left, and she's done it in the past. You guys have seen it.
I do not believe for a second when somebody says, like, somebody that they're in a long-term relationship with, it's not even clear why they left. That it means one of two things. You're not paying attention, which is part of the reason why they left, or you're not telling the whole story. Which you're entitled to a degree of your own personal, like, private life, so I don't say this to pry. I mean to say this as in you're volunteering this information at this point.
To have been following the show for years, she wanted to go away. So that's all we often know with Mama JF. She wants to go away. She had done it once and had come back to us weeks after, and you'll remember she came on the show on the day she came back, and she said something along the lines of well, I thought you didn't want to be with me anymore, and so
so then you don't even know why she left, meaning you know why she left. Your relationship is apparently not that great, and like how generally you would be concerned when somebody ends up on the missing persons list. And like the reason Mama JF ended up on the missing persons list was an anonymous call, according to the police report, or according to the CBS report, right? Hold on, let me look at it again real quick. That's what it said, right? Like, I'm not losing my mind, am I? It said at the beginning, a concerned citizen. So somebody called in that she was, like, straight missing, and it wasn't JF, right? According to him. According to him, it's normal, but she's been missing. So how long was she missing last time? If she just, like, goes away, is going away, like, the equivalent of she went to her parents' house? Or is going away, like... How long was she gone? Was she on the missing persons list last time? I think Beardshire said something like that. Or you were saying the situations were different, right? Yeah. A little bit Dunning-Kruger, maybe. Yeah, this is, at best, this is bad PR, right? At best, this is not a good way to present yourself in this kind of a scenario, whether you did it or not, right? Because, like, this is now turned into, you had, like, two options. Address things or try to court of public opinion whatever's going on. And if you want to court of public opinion it, then your goal would be to look as good as possible. And this is just don't look so great. If I had an ex from 10 years ago missing for 4 months, I'd be worried, much less the mother of my child. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. I don't, it's one of those things, like, you think you'd at least even just be curious. But if he's talking to the police, that means there's recordings of those conversations somewhere that may or may not end up as public record. People have been calling this like a true crime thing unfolding, and it does kind of have that vibe.
And I said to her, no, you left of your own will. But she says yes, and then she says yes, but I thought you wanted me to leave. That is sometimes the state of delusion in female minds, and I can't do anything about this. I have zero control over this. If we were in
No, I have zero control of my own behavior, and me just neglecting you could easily just be your delusion. I'm sorry, excuse me? No, if you're communicating something, either verbally or non-verbally, then that person is going to understand that, and if that person is not able to communicate with you for one reason or another, either because of a failing on their own part, or because of a misunderstanding on their part, that's still, communication and relationships are a two-way street. Whether you think women are delusional or not, whether you think women are capable of high-level thinking or not, you still need to be able to communicate with her. If you can't communicate with her, whatever within her delusional mind or whatever the fuck you think, that's a failing on your part in that case by your definition, because you have to be the person responsible for that. Because if she's not capable, then the responsibility is required to fall on you, dude.
the society, the Christian society of 1920, maybe I could file some report and say, hey, my wife is a little crazy, she's a little out there. Can I control, can I own her, basically? And I'm sure that there were, I mean, basically you didn't have to file that paper in 1920s. Because in the 1920s, this was called marriage.
He is not entirely wrong, but there is paperwork you can do to get, like, guardianship over people. Like, we saw it with one of the more famous current cases is Britney Spears' guardianship, right? So you can get guardianship over people, but it requires a degree of mental unwellness. It requires... there's a lot to it. It's not that simple, right? It also means that you have to be, like, the required caregiver, which would then make you responsible. So if Mama JF is mentally unwell and he's the expected guardian of her, then him just allowing her to just leave the house and go on whatever journey she decided to go on, he is responsible because, as he's saying, she can't be responsible for herself. JF is a lizard person. Yeah.
But we are not in the 1920s, and we are in 2023 where we have an experiment going on in society. What happens when you let these females do whatever the fuck they want? Well, what happens is that...
They left you? Is that what happened? They didn't want to be around you? Oh, how strange. How bizarre. I can't imagine why.
They sometimes make bad decisions.
Yes, because women are people.
In June, she left, and...
Why do I feel like that wasn't the bad decision?
And 2 days after leaving, so she left and she had a whole plan. She had bought camping material. She was on her way to some sort of survivalist trip. From what I understood, it looked like she was preparing for life in the wild. She promised me when she left that...
Survivalist trips usually are like a group thing, not an individual thing. So there's a big difference between you dropped her off at a campsite where this group was getting together and doing like backpacking across Algonquin Park versus you dropped her off with camping gear on the side of the road, dude. Those are different things. You do know there's this thing called like neglect, criminal neglect. And so if women can't be trusted and JF can't be trusted, and you dropped her off with camping gear that may or may not had X degree of supplies, you willfully dropping her off into a dangerous situation makes you culpable to a degree, whatever that degree may be, right? It might not be murder like some people are saying. I think that might be a stretch, right? I can agree with that. I don't have enough information to make that kind of a distinction. But if you're going to say that you're responsible for this person, that they're mentally unwell, because that's what JF is saying she is, and you drop them off in the fucking woods somewhere on the side of the road with some camping gear, then you've basically set them up to die, and you didn't have to directly do it. So there is a degree of criminal culpability in that case, if that's what he's describing. Yeah, it's like ignoring a person in distress. Yeah, you're not required to, like, certain people are not required to do certain things. Like, if somebody is drowning, you're not required to jump in and save them because that's putting your own life at risk. But if, like, if you personally take somebody into the middle of nowhere and drop them off and drive away, you're responsible for the actions you took in whatever the result was at the end of the day. Right? And yes, why would you leave a mentally unstable person alone? Correct. That's a whole other thing. And I think this is why I heard that people were shouting at JF during his streams or other people's streams that he's, what's the word I'm looking for? He's exposing himself, like he's telling on himself. Well, you know, one of the things that comes down to, and we might get into a little bit more later as we watch some of these, the thing that tends to get most people caught when they're doing crime is them being overconfident. That is a very... I've been playing with dice in my fingies. Being overconfident tends to be a very big sticking point.
She would always be reachable, and that I would be able to reach her to deal with all of the...
So that's an interesting point, TJC. So, what it says is it's not proven in court that she's mentally unstable, but throughout his streams he said that she was. So there's a line here, right, where if somebody says that they believe that this is the case and these are the actions they took, taking that as an umbrella, right, you now understand that with this understanding he chose to do X, Y, and Z. Whether or not his description of her is accurate, we now have an understanding that this is expected behavior based on his understanding of the situation. Right? So if he believes she is mentally unstable, then he is now knowingly taking her and leaving her in the middle of butt fucking nowhere with what expectation, with what intention? What is she, a bird? So set her free to live in the wild. Ooh. Right? So, and the thing is like, whether or not she actually was, right? That's a different thing. If you want to talk about like legal culpability, you're gonna have to go somewhere besides me. My knowledge in this is limited. I'm not a professional. Are you going to be able to tell whether or not, let's say she is dead, right? If she is dead and they find her later, how are they going to prove her mental well-being? And the answer is they might not have to, right? Because they could say that, well, you believed your wife was mentally unwell, and so therefore da. Or they could say that you believed your wife was mentally unwell and did not take her for a proper assessment within X, Y, and Z. Right? Alright, I'm going to pull up this tweet. Hopefully I'm going to be able to see it. Also, it's good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. I'm not saying you murdered anyone. I'm just saying you're acting like someone who's way too confident that her body won't be found and therefore that your home won't be searched, which means she's on your property. Oh no. You know what? I do like that tweet. That's a good tweet. When I was doing my PhD, we would put long boots and walk in rivers that were not so deep so you could see the bottom, with the water arriving somewhere between the knees and the hips. We were carrying 2 large electrodes. Oh, Jesus Christ. We were carrying 2 large electrodes, each long like 3 baseball bats. We would hold them close to the sand and inject an electrical current powered by a large backpack battery that we would carry on our backs. A creature like the one below, a lamprey, was sometimes popping up from its hiding in the sand in reaction to the shock. It had been there for 1 to 7 years, living under the sand, filtering the water it could to feed. All it took was a small electrical shock to make them come out of the water. Well, you mean come out of the sand, but whatever. The last few days have been making me think of this time. It doesn't take much for the disgusting creatures of the river's bottom to come out of hiding. We saw them in the last few days, saying things like, quote, maybe he didn't murder her, but, quote, I have no evidence, but I think he's lying. What we have seen play in front of us is the exact reason why our society has opted for due process in the first place. People are just too stupid to process evidence. We have no public epistemological process. Well, yeah, because epistemology is an individual thing, not a group thing. I mean, you have epistemological process for the law, but the law is always going to be behind. It's reactionary, not proactive. So it doesn't prevent things. It responds to things and tries to, like, if you believe in restorative justice or whichever kind of justice you believe in. It's amazing for me to sift through the bad, defamatory content emerging around me. Is it? I see elementary mistakes of facts that were already resolved and uncontroversial, irrational conclusions, fallacious thought processes. The fishing has been successful. It revealed a giant monster under the sand. I mean, if you were to take that as it fucking stands, then Mama JF isn't actually missing. Because if it's fishing, then what you've done is you've set up a fake scenario to catch everybody who's just going to latch onto whatever thing and then expose it all at the end. That's what fishing is. But that would mean that Mama JF is safe at home and sound, and all you're doing is taking advantage of people who do otherwise care and don't want bad things to be happening to her unnecessarily. TJC said, write a short story just to call your accusers lampreys, dude. Should be worried about his partner not talking about lampreys. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of odd to hear somebody talking about this so blasé, like so laissez-faire about a significant other. And this isn't like a significant other that he had a long time ago. This is his current wife left his house and has not been seen for 4 months. And, like, I guess I could understand being maybe numb to this scenario if you're dealing with police, but that's being off. It's still, like, that's one thing compared to what he's doing. And people process grief, but this does not read as grief to, I think, anybody. Even he says he doesn't grieve over it. He's just like, it's out of my hands. What am I supposed to do? And it's like, well, if you're the one responsible for this person who can't be responsible for themselves, then you're supposed to take responsibility. That would be the obvious conclusion you would think, but yeah, what do I know? I'm gonna let this play for a minute.
The official papers, you know, that she owns a lot of stuff, and sometimes I need her signature, and I was like, and although, you know, we do have legal remedies for this, I was like, if you totally disappear, you might put me in trouble on some bills, on some, you know, getting utilities and everything. So she promised to me that she wouldn't fully disappear. She went away. And 2 days later, she talked to me on the phone and sent a message. But by the way, everything I tell you is things I have told to the police. So it's not, there's no secret coming out that you guys are hearing. It might be secret from a public perspective, but it's all things that the feds have been knowing for a couple of days. So the last message that she sends me in June, 2 days after leaving, and it had been apparent, I think I may have been in contact for a couple of times during these 2 days, so I was sure that she was progressing through whatever trip she wanted to do. I knew that she was still alive. But 2 days after leaving, she says, I have changed my plans. I will not hold my promise toward you.
Canada does have common law, and for anybody who is confused, the federal police, the feds in Canada, are the RCMP. She promised me she wouldn't fully disappear. Eye rubbing during a statement communicated as a fact can mean he's mentally seeing something he doesn't want to see. I mean, it could be the case. The thing is like, if she made that kind of a promise and then did, right? Like, yikes.
I will not be reachable. And it's like, okay. She says, I have a new plan. And I'm like, does your new plan involve any sort of attack against me or the family? Because you guys know how important that.
Why were you expecting her to attack you and your family? This was just a standard trip up until this point, as far as you knew. So what were you worried about? That's kind of bizarre. Especially since he earlier said that he didn't know why she was leaving. Okay. Hi, Rez. Good to see you. People think JF killed Mama JF, and this is him talking about that.
That is to me. She says, you don't have to be worried. My new plan does not involve you. I'm just going to change cell phone. Now, I knew that she had left without any sort of electronic tracking. You know how the police can track you with your credit card, with your debit card. She had left with nothing but her phone. So when she said that to me through text, I concluded, okay, she's going off-grid. You know, she's going full survivalism. And kind of in her fashion. I mean, that's the way Mama JF is. So changing her phone, to me, it meant I'm dropping potentially my own identity behind. I'm potentially disappearing in nature. I'm potentially, I mean, she could be anywhere from there. And that's what I was explaining to the police. You know, Mama JF, you remember the story she told on her video?
So you didn't respond to her by saying, but you promised me you wouldn't disappear all the way so we could deal with this paperwork? Like, you didn't bring that up? That wasn't part of your conversation when she said she was going to flip her phone? Like, and she didn't say she was going to get rid of it. She said she was going to change her phone, which would arguably change the number, not have no phone at all. So I don't know why this conclusion would be the one that you get. Then again, at the same time, I'm not in his relationship. I don't know her. Maybe this is just a way that they communicate, but it's kind of bizarre, right? Like, it's kind of strange.
On YouTube, where she talked about crossing the border in Spain and in the enclaves of Spain in North Africa. Mama JF is a fucking extreme, like 007 level of like fugitive mentality. And
007 is not a fugitive. 007 has a license to kill. 007 is a government agent. It's not. 007 isn't Jason Bourne, which sounds like what you're trying to describe. Oh no.
I was kind of telling that to the police, jokingly, half jokingly, but it's like she's a professional fugitive who doesn't commit crimes. So it's like, she's gonna be hiding from you as hard as she can.
All right, come to the next art stream where we design 007. We're gonna have to design this person and this character and see what they look like, while
also not having anything to reproach to herself. But that's just how she is. So I mean, she and so from there, I'm like, I'm gonna drop myself behind. I'm going to disappear. You're not going to be able to reach me. So that is what I've been knowing since June. And of course, you're faced with the big, should I call the police? This is a willing woman, a willing adult woman doing her willing stuff. So I've not called the police.
From your perspective, yes, you do. Because from JF's perspective, she's not capable of taking care of herself or making these kinds of decisions. So that wouldn't be shouldn't be a difficult qualm for you. It should be you would obviously call the police. You would obviously call the police when she decided she was going to change her phone because you needed her for business paperwork. Or you would immediately go, no, you need to come back, or you need to keep your phone with you because you need to be able to contact for children and for abandonment issues and for whatever fucking paperwork and family matters that he had already described that she had agreed and promised to stay on grid for. So yes, you would call the police immediately. As soon as she said she was getting rid of her phone, you would call the police based on like your description of the scenario. So the fact that you hemmed and hawed about this for 4 months until someone else called the police is kinda sus, dude. Even if it's not, like, again, I'm not gonna go the length of saying she murdered her. That's a little bit much for me. But like, you're kinda sus, dude. Yeah, we just got to 007.
Because in my view, there was no evidence of criminality. There was no evidence of distress. It looked like, to me, someone who has decided to go survivalism.
What do you mean evidence of distress? You said that she left and came back before, citing that she thought that you didn't care or want to be in a relationship anymore. That's distress. So when she leaves the next time and you have no idea why she's leaving, and you're concerned she's going to harm you or the family when she's going off grid, all indicates to me that you thought she was under some kind of distress. Obviously.
Will I report someone for being survivalist? I mean, this reminds me of the Facebook post.
No, you report them for you report them for abandonment. You report them as a missing person. You're not calling the police on them to have them arrested at that point. You're calling the police on to locate them. Calling the police doesn't do the same thing across the board, no matter what it is. Dusty Smith's theory. I haven't watched Dusty in forever. Dusty Smith's theory is his kids aren't registered, home birth and no birth certificate. That could very well be the case.
As one of your loved ones gone to survivalism? As one of your loved one bought too much camping material? That is literally one of the Facebook posts, but I don't want to be in the society where buying camping material gets you reported to the feds. And I am bound to Mama JF's InTeRViEw because...
But you're not reporting her before she's gone. You're reporting her missing, which is not you're not charging her with a crime. You're reporting her missing when she goes missing because she changed her phone when she promised she wouldn't and was supposed to be around and she's not, and you don't know where she is. That's what a missing person is. Why would this still take 4 months of waiting? I could understand maybe a couple of days, maybe a week or so. I don't know. You were the one around her camping equipment. How much camping equipment did she actually have? Did she bring a cooler full of food? Because if she had a cooler full of food, she's got 2 weeks? And 4 months before the police had to come to you? Come on, man. Come on, man.
I've loved her, and I still love her, and I still consider I consider myself allied to her forever. Forever, no matter what she does, even if she goes out there getting other boyfriends, I consider myself tied to her forever. So at this point, I'm in front of this information, and I've decided that this was not warranting a call to the police in June. and I've spoken to her family, and they thought similarly. This is Mama JF. She is an out there woman, and it's not the first time she does this. In the absence of any evidence of harm or that she's doing something evil to someone else, there's no reason to call the police. And
I mean, is abandoning your family considered evil? I mean, I think that would be situational, right? I love her forever, but I don't care for her whereabouts. It's kind of weird, right? There does seem to be like some contradictory like points being made. I'm not sure if we've gotten any like straight up contradictory information yet, but it's very much like if you love her forever, then you would think you would care about her safety and like not checking, because you could have said, oh, she's going off grid or whatever. Okay, cool. Check in with me in a week. She could have kept her phone, no problem. She could have just turned it off. That's off grid. It's a weird presumption doing something evil to someone else. Why would he assume that? He assumes, like, he seems to be stating that the only reason to call the police would be if she was obviously harmed and he knew about it. Which, being lost in the woods apparently isn't harmful enough. And doing something evil to somebody else, because he thinks calling in a missing persons report is the same as charging her with a crime, which is a very weird like thing to pretend like to. Those aren't the same thing, dude. You're acting like it is. Why would calling in a missing person be viewed under like this scenario of a crime? Especially when the fact that you didn't do that is making people suspect you of a crime.
in fact, we even had someone in the family talked loosely to a federal investigator who was friends with us and just asking.
You do not, if you don't think that the federal investigators have talked to her other family members at this point, that's sus. Like, there's no way they wouldn't.
And had someone in the family talked loosely to a federal investigator who was friends with us and just asking, what is this? Is this a disappearance or is this just a woman? Just a woman doing whatever she wants. And the investigator had actually, from what I heard, this is not an interaction that I had myself, but someone who was worried in the family spoke to an investigator and said, look, those are the facts. It's a woman. She leaves like this. She wanted to leave. She gets herself equipped with camping material and all. Is this a disappearance? Is this something we should signal?
Well, we know it's a disappearance because she promised she would stay in contact with you according to the beginning of your story. So if she promised she would stay in contact with you and then goes back on that and then tries to go off grid entirely, yes, that is her disappearing. You even called it disappearing. What are you trying to say? What woman hasn't disappeared for 4 months? Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's also a big difference between going camping, going on a survival trek, and disappearing into the woods with some gear. That's all of that is different. Like going off grid to go live in the woods, and these are all different things.
And the investigator had said, well, no, this looks like a consensual trip. So I was reassured that not only was my judgment converging toward the fact that Mama JF does not need help and that she's a free woman, she can decide to do this.
You can be both. You can be a free woman and decide to go on a camping trip and disappear in the woods on your camping trip. Those are all possible. Trying to pretend that those can't all possibly be the same thing. women go on camping trips, believe it or not. This is a thing that happens sometimes in groups of women. Some women go backpacking by themselves, and sometimes they get lost in the woods and disappear. The feds are posted up at his house just for funsies. Yep.
And also there was these social signals reinforcing that I wasn't the only one thinking this. Other people were thinking this also.
But you said you didn't know why she was leaving. If you didn't know why she was leaving, then you would have no reason to suspect that she had a whole thing planned out, and then you said that she had a plan, and then that she called you, said she was changing the plan, but you still don't know what the plan is. What social signals are you reading, my guy? Are they from Mars?
So that was the state in June and July, but then, you know, the months pass and now we're in October. When is it that worries are justified? And so there was a building up of stress in the people who love her. And my position has always been...
The people who love her as opposed to myself? Okay.
To all of these people, to any friend of Mama JF and to any person involved, my position has been, I saw her go. I saw her wanting to go. And so I don't need to call the police. But if you feel that it warrants a call to the police, I respect you and you go ahead and call them.
If I leave my house and I say I'm going grocery shopping and I want to leave and want to go grocery shopping and I don't come back from the grocery store, you should probably call the police within a few hours or at least a day. Like, come on. Come on. This is absurd. Like, that's just an absurd statement, right? Like, that nobody who thinks like this? Who thinks like this unless they're trying to justify that they didn't call the police? Like, there's no... you just say you could, like, this would be more believable if he was like, yeah, she went on a trip, I didn't care that she was leaving, so when she stayed gone, I was like, cool, good, stay gone. That, I would have believed that. But trying to be like, oh my god, but I care about her so much, but also didn't do this, and when should I really call the police? Like, this is some kind of epistemology, like some kind of, like, vague philosophical question. I know, the person didn't come back, and we don't know where they are, therefore they are a missing person.
And I will not say who ended up calling, but someone ended up noticing that somehow Mama JF was
Weird.
missing, and maybe knew about me. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it all happened, but someone...
You mean that the police did not tell you who the concerned citizen was that called them anonymously? I can't imagine why they wouldn't give you that information.
One ended up noticing, hey, there's this girl and her loved ones don't know where she is. And so they made a call to the police, and this launched a whole investigation that I've been involved in for...
If you care that you don't know where she is and care about her and her family are concerned, why do you sound so annoyed that somebody called to say she was missing when she was missing? He's so annoyed. He's so bothered that somebody noticed her, noticed me, senpai, and noticed her absence. And so of course it turned into... Why are you so annoyed that this turned into an investigation? Of course it did. She's missing. When they went to you to find out where she is, you didn't know where she was, or you told them you didn't know where she was. And so they're going to continue investigating until they find her, or she is presumed dead. That is what they do. That's their job. I love her so much I didn't call the police when she went missing. Right? Well, I mean, murderers usually get mad when police investigate them.
I don't know, maybe 4 days, 5 days, I don't know. But the feds are coming regularly at my house. They are waking me in the morning. I sleep late, and all of my loved ones sleep late. We're just that way. We are computer programmers living in the night. That is just what we do. And I'm a man of the internet. My show.
We were all so stressed out. Did he not just say, like a couple minutes ago, that there was a buildup of stress about not knowing if they should or should not call the police about whether she was or was not missing, and there was a buildup of stress over time, and then you got annoyed that someone else called the police so you didn't have to make that real difficult decision? What? Am I losing my mind? Like, he said that, right? He said that there was stress in the family about them not knowing where she was. Like, he said that? I can see why people are suspicious. There's so much here that's just like, it's so inconsistent. He says one thing and then behaves a different way.
Show is at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's not even the end of my day. So they wake me up every morning. There are days where they come once, where there are days where they come twice. There's
Twice
always
a
a
day?
truck of the feds in front of my house.
So they're watching your house, they're watching your movements, and they're showing up at your house twice a day? Are you... Really? Don't be suspicious.
And there's lots of people making jokes right now on the social media, like, Jeff, where did you hide the body and all. I knew that this was coming to this no matter what, because we live in a society that just can't accept the cost of liberty. The cost of liberty is you're gonna have a bunch of females make terrible decisions. But
So he's... Whatever. You chose not to call the police. You chose to make the stream that you did that's making people suspicious. That's not her. And again, did he not? Like, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but if I'm not mistaken, he fucking describes that he's the one who dropped her off. She didn't just, like, walk out of the house. He drove her and dropped her off. Those are all decisions that he made, knowing she was missing, chose to not call the police. All our CMP are actually huge JF fans. I'm a Canadian, you can trust me. Definitely check out Exploratory Minds videos on body language. They're very good.
But no, I have not killed Mama JF, and I would be very surprised that I'm even considered a suspect in any way. Because I have left records, I have left electronic traces of my dropping her alive in front of cameras of a gas station. And
all right, I was right. Yeah, he drove and dropped her off at a gas station and drove away, and he thinks that makes him not responsible for whatever happened to her next.
There has been plenty of electronic records of the fact that she was alive many days after leaving me, after asking me to drop her.
Did she ask you that? Because now I'm suspicious of that, right? Like, he hasn't posted any transcripts, I would assume, of their conversation back and forth that was confirmed to have come from her phone that she left in the woods somewhere. So we gotta find her phone now. To be like, yeah, no, definitely drop me off at this place, or yeah, I'm definitely doing this. Like, there... This woman isn't mentally well. She doesn't know what she's doing, and you abandoned her at a gas station with some camping gear. It's fine. No money. Didn't leave her with any money because he said she didn't take any credit cards and hasn't said that she took cash instead. Left that alone. Didn't say anything about that. Bro, I think it's because that from everything you were describing and the situation you were saying, the reason why people are making these memes isn't because women make bad decisions, it's you are making bad decisions. And it sounds like the bad decisions you made may or may not have, thus far, led to a woman's death. That's why people are fucking questioning you, dude.
At a certain location. And yes, you know that there are so many cameras these days and credit cards purchases that I can prove. I would be very surprised that I'm anyhow considered a suspect, but the feds are still very thirsty for information, so the
feds are living outside of your house, monitoring your movement, questioning you daily, if not twice a day, and you think you're surprised, like you'd be surprised if you were a suspect? Dude, you're a suspect. They wouldn't be there if you weren't a suspect days after the fact. When did this report come out? Hold on. Wrong button. Sorry, 1 second. Move. When did this report come out? October 3rd. This is from October 4th. Would he be considered
keep coming back
guardian?
and
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
honestly, I'm very impressed by the quality of their work, but it's like they understand also that I'm
he would have had to jump through some serious legal hoops to become her legal guard, like to get a guardianship over her, so I would suspect that legally he would not be.
I'm a guy on the internet, so I'm not I have a high security home. I'm not going to let them in, you know, but it's like, okay, they want every possible detail they can have about Mama JF because they are on this program of finding Mama JF, and it's fascinating to see a bunch of professionals like this who really are interested in her safety. Let me tell you, I'm hostile to the government in general, but I've always known that within the police force, the vast majority of policemen are excellent, just excellent workers and professionals, and I see it in my interactions with them. They understand everything.
Why do you sound kind of disappointed that they care so much that she's missing?
So yeah, so that means they're coming to me and they want to know exactly what she said before leaving.
Apparently they want to investigate the house, but you won't let them.
Want traces of where were you when you dropped her, who could know her.
Which means that if you want a good chance at them finding her, you would want them to go through her stuff so they could look to see if she left any information that you might not be able to pick up. He doesn't know why they're there, and he's definitely not a suspect, but don't look into my house, and definitely don't look through Mama JF's stuff to try to find this person that I was so stressed that I didn't know where she was, and there was a building stress in the home of this individual that I love so much no matter what she does. They're waiting for a warrant. They're definitely waiting for a warrant, for sure. Now, I'm not somebody who's like, oh, you should just let the police into your house, and I'm not somebody who's like, oh my god, you should just hand over to the police because the police, you can trust the police. No, absolutely not. But if you're doing a missing person, then it would be beneficial for you to let the police look at her stuff, because her stuff might have clues as to where she is. My goodness. Judge probably won't sign a warrant off due to lack of evidence. I doubt they would sign a warrant until until they've, investigated the last known location and did, a manhunt for a little while, or until they find a body.
Who are friends. And it's like I pulled Mama JF out of a lifestyle, and I never really got acquainted with this lifestyle. You know, I'm not the kind of I don't have respect for human beings, especially not homeless druggies. You know, so I'm not the kind of guy.
So now she's a homeless drug. I thought you said she was going off on survival. Now she's gone to do drugs in the woods? And you just dropped her off to go do drugs in the woods? Okay.
Guy who will approach a female and become friends with her male friends. So what I did with Mama JF is I extracted her from her misery and from her lifestyle. And
that's why she left you multiple times, right? Because you extracted her from misery.
I brought her to a greater life.
That's why she wanted to leave and go back to that miserable lifestyle, right? Yeah, he does contradict himself a lot.
Lifestyle, cleaner, you know, less craziness. So
I do not believe for a second that having to be around JF for any like amount of time would not drive someone crazy. Like, I was watching him talk to some guys, the Drunken Peasants were reviewing some interview that he did. I was already like, nope, I don't have enough alcohol for this. My God. Could you imagine, like, waking up and, like, going down to your living room to get some coffee and this motherfucker is sitting at your kitchen table and then you've got to have a conversation with him and, like, pick up after him? Ugh. Ugh. Ugh.
That is what I've done. And so when they ask me, where could she be? Is she friends with this guy? Is she friends with these guys? It's like I have just a general idea that Mama JF is a super social creature of Montreal.
So you don't know who any of her friends are. You isolated her from her previous friend group. You talk about wanting to control her life a lot, but now that she's leaving, you have no control, that you never had control the whole time. In his interview with Dick Masterson, he talks about how women are attracted to him now that he's been accused of murdering his wife, and that they immediately ask to breed with him. Very creepy shit. X to doubt. I mean, you know what, we'll get there.
And that's what I've been telling them. Yeah, so that's been so the feds being extremely, you know, on their path of we need to save everyone. We need to save everyone. And I'm like, it's amazing to see the conversations between them and me, because I'm actually less motivated at.
Before he goes into that, so you're amazed to hear that the police are asking you about who your wife might have contacted before she went missing, and you don't know who anybody she would have contacted would be. And now you're about to tell me that you're less interested in, like, who she knew or some shit?
Finding Mama JF than they are. I've never requested everyone.
I'm less interested in finding Mama JF than the police are. You know, this person that I love and care about so much, who I have kids with, who I love very much, and I was stressed out when she went missing, who made her promise to me that she would stay on grid just in case there was anything that had gone on that needed paperwork, and then when she was staying off grid, I was really concerned that she was going to try and screw me over. Wow.
We need to save everyone.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't about to say that thing and that he just said.
And I'm like, it's amazing to see the conversations between them and me, because I'm actually less motivated at finding Mama JF than they are. I've never requested any of this. I want to be clear. If Mama JF is...
You mean that when you were debating about whether or not you should call the police and whether or not it counts as missing, you were on the side of not calling the police, and that's why you're so annoyed?
Out there listening to this, I want to be clear with you, Mama JF. I've not been requesting an investigation against you. I've not been trying to send...
The investigation isn't against her, you dumb fuck. The investigation is about where she is as a missing person. She's not being accused of a crime. There's no charges. The person who's being investigated for potential charges is you. Jesus, god damn it. He's so dumb. At this point, I don't know if it's actually stupidity at this point, or if this is just misdirection, like purposeful misdirection.
The feds after you. I've not been wanting to do this episode even. I'm forced to do this episode because there are forum posts right now that your face is on whatever the feds have published, and then people are looking at my tweet today, informing people about this, and they're like, well, look, he calls her Mama JF, he doesn't even call her by her real name. So he's not really interested at them finding her. It's like there's a lot...
You already just said at the beginning of this little spiel that you're going on that you are less interested in finding her than the police are. So who's ever saying that is correct. You're not interested in finding her. You've made that abundantly clear, so why would you feel forced to make a YouTube video addressing... What? Hold on. Why would you feel the need to make a stream or a video when people are accurately describing your feelings on a matter? They said that you're not interested in finding her. You already acknowledged that you weren't interested in finding her about 16 minutes into this 30-minute spiel after you spent 15 of those minutes trying to convince people that you did care. Oh my, no wonder people are suspicious of you, man. Like, I think they're justified to be suspicious. Are they justified in, like, making straight-up accusations or coming to full-on conclusions? Maybe not, but they're certainly allowed to have their opinions and have conversations about it. Welcome to True Crime, I guess. If there's a True Crime episode, it's just like, True Crime JF. Took money from Epstein.
A lot of interest to wade in here. First, by naming Mama JF a way that I've never named her publicly, I would only be misleading people. The fact is, everyone who interacts with me through this platform knows Mama JF as Mama JF, so that's her name for you guys. I'm not going to reveal her real name because, honestly, I don't even know if she wants to be found. And that is something you have to wait when you're in this situation. I am a bearer of the interest of Mama JF. Maybe she doesn't want to be found. Maybe.
Are you? If you're saying maybe, then you're not. If you're saying you don't know what she wants and if she wants her name and face out there, or even if she wants to be found, then you're not the bearer of her desires because you don't know what her desires are, Mr. Loving Husband Family Man. You don't know who her friends are. You don't know who she contacted. She doesn't want to be around you. She might never want to come back and not be found. I hope DP clips end up on a Netflix documentary about JF. That would be amusing.
Maybe she's on a huge trip, whatever, thinking, going to parties. Maybe she's going to...
With all the no money you allowed her to take with her when you dropped her off with camping gear at the gas station.
Woodstock in the US, I have no clue. But maybe she doesn't want to be found, and that's part of...
How did she skip the border in the United States when you took everything that would be identifying? If she was going off grid, how could she possibly, like, have something trackable? If she went across the border, then the border guard would have seen her fucking passport, which would mean they'd be able to track where she went. What? The fuck are you talking about?
Liberty that I have to defend. I'm not going to act like these worried families who want to help someone more than they want to be helped. Because one thing I have learned at enormous cost in my life is don't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. And so I'm like, to these feds, I'm like,
again, there is a big difference between having personal issues that you don't want help with and going missing in the woods. Again, she could want to get away from you. She could want to go on a camping trip, and she could fall and break a leg and be missing in the woods because her leg is fucking broken and she's stuck there now. Not all of these things are fucking individual. Like, they can be related. They don't have to all be separated.
please understand, you're going to pursue a fugitive who has committed zero crime. She's going to be playing with...
Stop equating a missing person to somebody who is a fugitive. She's not running from the law. She's just existing somewhere that's not around you and you don't know where it is, if that were the case. And like, your framing of this is so fucking bizarre.
You, sending you on false traces. She's going to have her hoodie, hiding herself from facial recognition cameras everywhere she enters. She has dropped all of her electronics behind. She's basically 007, but she has no mission, and she's not fleeing you guys for a crime that she did because she's a good person. She's not gonna commit a crime.
Why would she be fleeing from them at all? Why would she even know that they were called? She would only know that they were called after this shit went public. That she was a missing person. And if she did find out, what would be stopping her from just walking into the police station and saying, hey, yeah, I'm this person, I was on a missing report, I just wanted you guys to know that I'm not missing, I'm actually just on this trip. Yeah, and then they would ask her questions, yada yada yada, they'd finish off their investigation, close it off, and she'd go on her fucking merry way. Why would she feel the need to hide herself? At all? It's like you're setting your audience up to expect the police to fail to find her because she's Jason Bourne. This is so weirdly contradictory. You guys are right. This is so weirdly contradictory. If she just went off to go do like some drugs in the woods, then there'd be no reason for her to be concerned about the feds finding her, because then they'd be like, none of this, anything he's saying makes any cohesive sense.
Crime. That's the situation. You guys want to have fun finding her to be sure that she's safe? You go ahead.
Great.
But
that's what they're doing.
I know will when I see it, and her will was to go out there and for whatever period. I didn't know when she left whether it would be a 2-week period like.
But you didn't know why she was leaving. And so if you didn't know why she was leaving, what makes you think you're capable of recognizing her degree of willpower? Especially when you acknowledge the last time she left it was due to some fucking miscommunication. If you're so like, okay, well, go do whatever you're gonna do, why are you so grumpy about it? Why are you so mad that somebody opened an investigation? Why are you so mad that somebody reported her missing? Especially since it was something you were fighting with that maybe you should do before. It's so contradictory.
Like last time. Or whether it would be a 2-year period. She could be on a container traveling toward Morocco right now.
I hope that... No, she can't. She doesn't... You said she didn't have any identification, which means she would have no fucking paperwork, which means she would have no passport, which means there'd be no way for her to get to Morocco. And no money, for that matter. Even if she did have identifying paperwork. You know what? I have a dream that she's just on a walkabout And she's walking her way all the way from, like, PEI, which is an island, by the way. It's an island. Do you guys know what PEI looks like? That's PEI. This is Prince Edward Island. If you go from, let's say here, let's go measure distance from here to, let's say, Kensington to then here, and let's like throw one more here and pull this out. So if, let's say she had to walk, or she was doing a walkabout, and so she had to like do one of these zigzaggies, right? So she's like walking her way. We're looking at 200 kilometers. From like one end, let's say she's going all the way out to the other end. Yeah, 200 kilometers, 130 miles. If she's got no money and she's got camping gear, how long would it take? How long do you guys think it would take? Let's see, 200 kilometers. It's an estimate. So, walk time calculator. Let's see what this says. Total length, climbing in meters. Okay, so we said what, 130 miles? I don't, let's just say 0, 0, and let's assume 0 breaks, alright? So, according to the walk time calculator, and this is assuming you take 0 breaks, it would take 52 hours to walk, like, around the length of PEI. Right? She's been missing for 4 months. Four months! It would take, like, let's call it 52 hours. It would take, like, a week and a half, let's say. Let's call that a week and a half with break times, because we did take off, like, yeah, 10 days if she rests, and, like, we didn't put in climbing meters or descent or anything like that, and just walking. So this is at 3 miles per hour. To walk the whole length. And this is assuming that she didn't go across here, which is Borden, which we talked about. That's what that we're talking about in the article. I think it was in like the last known location. Yeah. Last known sighting in June in Borden. So the last time she was even seen was here. So like she's in the center. Right there. So I guess if she started there and like crossed the, like walked across the bridge and then just went into New Brunswick, which is right here. So, like, this is New Brunswick, right? And then this is Nova Scotia down here. And the bridge comes through right here. Right? The borderline between the two is just below it. So, like, then she'd be, like, out in the middle of fucking buttfuck anywhere. She could have walked all the way to fucking Quebec City for all we fucking know. You get, like, the satellite view? Look at that! And, like, there's plenty of, like, stop-off points. Like, this is a whole lot of, like, farm and city, and not, like, a whole lot of... Like, this is all farmed. The world's littlest hobo. Right? But, like, you'll notice here that there's not 4 months worth of, like, even, like, the resorts. Like, there's a golf course. Like, there's not a whole... Like, it's not the boons. It's not the middle of fucking nowhere, right? There's, like, nowhere here that if you got lost in the woods, if you picked a direction, you wouldn't be out within a day. You know what I mean? Unlike, you know, New Brunswick, which is, like, fucking rocky-ass fucking... There's a town. No, that's just a different fucking... Like, there's some houses. I mean, if she's in New Brunswick, like, she could be fucking anywhere. Look at that provincial park. It's huge. It's not like it's, like, Quebec, right? Or, like, fucking Algonquin, Ontario, which is just all all woods. So, like, yeah, based on the odds and length of time missing, odds are looking pretty bad. Well, especially in PEI, right? Like, with the size of PEI, and I'm not saying people couldn't go missing, but, like, the number of houses, the amount of people, the population, how close together people are, like, the distance and length of time between two areas of where there are people living, it seems unlikely to just go missing and not have anybody see you, especially if you don't want to be gone, right? Oy. Oy vey.
And she could have dealt with the locals at the port. She could have talked to a boat driver and give him some money and get on the boat. Who the fuck knows?
What money? From where? You said that she didn't take, or you didn't give her like debit card or credit card. So with what money?
I mean, and so that is the situation. And to people who are saying, well, he doesn't make all efforts to find her, he doesn't name her in her tweet, or he doesn't show a photo of her. I'm not gonna show a photo of her or name her when this is not my quest.
It's not your quest to find your wife who you're responsible for, according to you? Like, the reason you would show her name or her face for a missing person is to find them. This is such a bizarre excuse.
I had a visual confirmation from Mama JF live in front of me that she wanted to go away. So as far as I'm concerned...
So you don't have anything in text, and you don't have the recorded phone call where she said she was going off-grid. How interesting for somebody who said they were so picky about making sure they had an electronic footprint.
She's still in a trip. She's still out there just tripping. And I'm not going to publish her image because I don't know whether she consents to it. I'm not going to name her name because I don't know if she consents to it. If she wants to call me and say...
It's awfully convenient about when you think women are allowed to consent and when they aren't. Weird.
JF, I want to be found, or JF, I don't want to be found. She could do it, and she can do it. So yeah, what I said in my tweet is, if you get... So when she said that...
If she's not dead, she can do it.
If he finds a loyal wife, is alive. So collaborate, like, go ahead and just anything else, anything more evil. Forex says, often when worried families get the state involved to save or help someone, they make it significantly worse for the person. There is very little help the state can give to a person against their own will. That is very wise.
There is a difference between taking someone away to go get mental health that they like treatments that they don't want, or are trying to being forced by the state to kick addiction, like through like drinking and like DUI stuff, and a missing person. What?
And that is what I was telling the policeman, you know, wherever Mama JF is, it was her choice to be there, and it was her choice to run these risks, and she would hate it to hear that all of these people are looking for her. So now there's a whole national campaign to find Mama JF, and I will ask Mama JF and you guys, just to calm all these people, can you please collaborate? Like, go ahead and just if you've seen Mama JF alive, and you can reassure everyone, and you can calm these people, and you can make so the feds don't knock on my door on an everyday basis, that would be very appreciated. As far as I know from this investigation, as far as my interaction with the police, I understand it to be.
You understand that if anybody did say that they saw her, they would then have to, like, the police would then have to go to them and investigate and confirm. Like, it's not like I could call in and be like, hey, yeah, no, I saw her alive. She's fine. Bye. Like, that's not gonna... I keep seeing his smirk, and it keeps giving me Duper's Daily vibes heavy. Asori attempted social engineering his audience. Yeah, it's kind of like, if you're watching... I'm trying not to... I'm doing my best to not read into it too much, but he does seem to get, like, this cocky vibe to it, like, the look on his face every time he's talking about, like, seeing her alive or finding her or anything like that. It's... yikes.
They are not interested in any form of persecution of me, of Mama JF. They are just interested at establishing that Mama JF is alive.
Well, then there you go. Then you know that you haven't sent the feds after her like you described earlier. That they're just looking to confirm that she's alive and okay and where her location is.
So, Mama JF, if you hear this, you have a chance there to calm all these people down. Only with a word from you, I'm sure they would be reassured. Silver Spider says, JF is such a loyal guy. I really hope he finds a loyal wife. We should pool all of our super chats together and order him one from Japan. Well, talking about wives from Japan, I mean... Yes! Martin Shkreli! Oh my...
Okay, well, I'm gonna skip all that. Not interested in whatever his new wife he's looking for into. So this one was from a stream earlier where he's talking about getting his house cleaned. Which is okay, fine, whatever, I guess.
But in my case, I'm comfortable enough, and Mama JF has left me with everything that matters in life, what matters most of life. And so, what can I do? I cannot hate her, I cannot be frustrated about this, and that's it. So that's why I had to take 3 days total to... I made so much cleaning, so much reinstalling, so much plastering of the walls, construction, renovation. I wanted to set the home in the way I like it. It's like sterilize this home now. I can walk finally. I can access everything. The fridge is super clean. But in my case, I'm comfortable.
So this is a post from Jeff Holiday from October 6th. From this this interview that we're gonna look at from the channel goes by The Crucible. But I just wanted to look at what Jeff had said. Quote, "You guys are pathetic because I killed my wife and buried her in the garden," end quote. Every single video JF makes about this says zero about the kids he and Mama JF have. He has no interest in finding her. He complains the federal agents wake him at 9 a.m. You are a single parent. How are you sleeping past 9 a.m. with 2 little babies? I mean, that's a very good question. And no, I love Jeff as well. Jeff is lovely. The super chat at the bottom says, is it comforting to know that there are so many people out there who care about her and her safety, and they'll eventually find her?
Reddit Silver Member says, is it comforting knowing there are so many people out there who care for her and her safety, and they'll eventually find her?
I don't need comfort because Mama Jeff is a free woman. She has gone freely, and I need not to be comforted for the worries of a bunch of fucking normies. You guys.
But he said he was worried. He said that there was stress escalating in the house for concern for her location. He said that thing.
You guys are the one worried. I'm the one who fully trusts this woman.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. His response was gotcha. That's it. Oh no. All right, we're gonna take a quick break because we have been live for 2.5 hours. So I'm just gonna give us a quick break. I'm gonna go get some tea, and then we're gonna jump into this next interview because oh boy, let's fucking settle in, boys. So I'll be back in like 3 minutes. Puck has joined us. Hi, buddy. And come say hi. It's always important to have a good Puck break every so often, you know what I mean? One bit. What? There he is. Hi, buddy. Yeah, he's a good boy. Yes, is this story crazy? Is this man insane? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's so crazy. Yes, yes, I know. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Many belly rubs. Yes, yes, yes. You're very cute. Achoo. Yes, you're a good boy. Alright. Back to this nonsense. Oh boy. You gonna join us for some of this crazy? I don't have anything for you. I think he came here looking for food. I have none. Alright. So, up until this point, we essentially, we bunked down whatever dumb shit Steve was saying and doing about swatting and debunked that. We have also gone through and looked at both the RCMP report from CBC News and then watched what JF had to say about it directly. And now he's going around doing interviews. So we're going to take a look at some of these interviews and see, how this goes. I'm just muting for the music because I don't want to get copyright struck. Sharp dialogue, you say? Political warfare? Combat no contact, adults only. This is not a say. Why does this look like fucking Steve put this together? Dear Lord. Oof. Alright, let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Crucible. I'm your host, Andrew Wilson. Tonight we have someone who's no stranger.
I can't see the live chat's been turned off, so we can't see the live chat.
Stranger to The Crucible. He's been on for multiple debates, but now apparently he's landed in it a bit. JF Gary Epi. Welcome all. We're going to bring him out for an interview.
Oh, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Hello, Ethan Ralph. Hello, Kino Casino. Hello, everybody who's stream sniping. You're welcome to watch as well. JF Gary Epi. Long time no see. Welcome back to The Crucible.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a little bit disappointed by the thumbnail, Andrew.
What was in the thumbnail?
It's a little neutral. It's a little drab. I would have gone with something like exclusive interview, the Hudson Bay Butcher.
Yeah, well, so, speaking of this, and by the way, I'll get on my thumbnail guy.
Hudson Bay is in a very different location geographically than... You'd be closer to the St. Lawrence River at that point, to be honest. If I... Do I still have it? Do I still have the GPS up? No, I don't still have it up. Yeah, well. Oh, well. Alright. Well, I mean, the Hudson Bay Butcher is not a bad name. I don't think it would be applicable to PEI. Potatoes. Something about potatoes.
About this, because you're right. I feel like in this exclusive, I really should have gone all out, and so I probably have to fire him. But I have heard rumors to the effect of everything that you have bashed Mama's JF's brains in with a shovel to you have been picking her remains out of the refrigerator and eating it for breakfast. Now, JF, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but going backwards to forwards, can you give us a good established timeline of events?
Yes, and what you just mentioned there seems to be the perception of some people on the internet, and so I find myself forced in these interviews and in my own show. I didn't want to talk about this story for many days, and people saw that I was a little more nervous on stream, that I had a little less time for preparation.
You had 4 months of preparation, don't bullshit. But, okay, tell me I'm wrong here, right? Tell me if I'm misunderstanding this. is it just me, or is it like kind of odd to set the stream up with, like, if you're actually doing a proper interview, or you're doing like an investigative type thing, which seems to be how he's presenting it, and he's gonna have JF on, and there's all this shit going on. Do you not think you would want to present this as like there is some reasonable, like, all of everything they're presenting that is against JF is like they're presenting this as if this is like just wild nonsense that he's being accused of. But that's the beginning of the interview. That's the first couple of minutes. Is that really the way you want to present this? Is that what you want to prep your audience for? Like, am I like losing my mind here? Am I reading too much into that? Because like that seems odd to me. But he has an unlit cigar in his hand.
In the last few weeks.
I'm projecting. Maybe.
Well, in the last week mostly, and it was largely because I was thinking about this case, but I didn't want to talk about it. But now that the police decided to go with the case of the disappearance of Mama JF, it's now public, and it's better for me to talk a little bit about it to correct the misinformation that's out there. And also to help this investigation, because I don't think it's an investigation that targets any sort of persecution against her or me. I think that there's just too much people who want to know where Mama JF is, and they got worried, and justifiably so to some extent. I mean...
Well, we know that's not true. From what he said earlier, he said that he doesn't care, so why would he want to help out the investigation? But then he said that he did care, but was interfering with it. Like,
no one knows where Mama JF is currently, as that we know. She has gone on a trip, and she left no trace behind.
The farm.
And she intentionally, apparently, got rid of anything that could help track her. So, in the modern world, it's very easy. If you keep a credit card, a cell phone, anything, they will be able to get back to you. But Mama JF chose to go another way, went off-grid, and on her own volition. So that's a project that she had been working on and preparing for many years, and I have respected her liberty in doing so. So she chose.
And we will point out, and I'm sure he'll get into this again, but I'm going to point out real quick that the only person who's saying for sure that we just have to take his word for this, that she willingly made this decision to go do this thing. The only evidence that JF says exists is his direct one-to-one face conversation. Nothing in text. He did say he did a phone call with her, but there's been no anything to work with that, and he hasn't posted anything or shown anything. So he said it was only this conversation, then he said that he got a phone call, then he said this.
Chose to go.
Very unclear.
And now the police is looking for her because she has given no news to anyone, and she could be dead. She could be dead, or she could be having fun at some party and just didn't hear about her loved ones who are worried about her.
Now, JF, you can understand how this could turn into such a human interest piece. It was an explosive bombshell that you dropped on your show. It's been picked up by multiple shows, and the entire internet has been speculating about where is Mama JF. What did that evil JF Gary Epi do to her, right? I've seen this over and over and over and over again. Now, to be fair, JF, it's a little odd to kind of go on your show and drop a bombshell and say, hey, listen, not only is she disappeared, but she just kind of conveniently decided to make sure to leave no trace of herself behind, no way to contact her, no way to discuss anything with her. That's a little weird, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can.
So it's a little weird that the police are camping, that the RCMP feds are camping outside of his door and knocking on his door and interviewing sometimes 1 or 2 times a day. Yeah, a little weird.
You can think all of the weirdness you want, but it's the kind of girl that accepts having, sex with me. So it's just, sorry.
Ninja, he did call it fishing. He did say that he was fishing for shitty people, I guess. So maybe it's all made up. Maybe she's perfectly fine and is just hiding from the internet and the police at like Dunkin' Donuts somewhere.
If you ever find a normie 100 IQ woman who's a elementary school teacher who wants to date me, okay, you'll have a more normal JF life. But as long as you send me these girls, it's going to get weird, yes.
So let's move backwards into the day that you...
In Canada, you absolutely hide from the police at a Dunkin' Donuts. You don't hide at a Tim Hortons. But yeah, he is very cocky.
dropped Mama JF off. Can you just give us kind of a brief overview of what led to this? And what was the day that you actually did drop her off?
So Mama JF, well, the events that led to it is years of Mama JF wanting to go away, feeling that perhaps what she wanted to do with me was done for her, and she brought lots of joy in my life, and I'm very thankful to her for that. So to me, it's like, okay, you came in my life and you gave me great things. The most important things in life.
When he described their relationship on his show before this, he described it as him saving her and removing her from her previous lifestyle. Now it's split the other way.
And so I'm not going to complain if you want to go out and be peaceful and, go out without destroying everything, without attacking the family. And so she chose to go out, and she has prepared for this for years. In fact, in 2021, she had done a test run of this trip. Basically, her strategy was to hitchhike, and in 2021, she did from our current location to Quebec, which is more than 10 hours of driving. She did it all on hitchhiking, and this was in her habits before. She has done this all of her life before joining my life. So I took her out of a very hipster lifestyle, hippie lifestyle. She has traveled across the world, from Czech Republic to Spain to North Africa, going through borders, sometimes with passports, sometimes without passports. She has been around the world with these tricks of her of survival, and she was decided that in June, that was our target day to go away and do it again, but perhaps in a more serious way, perhaps in a more permanent way. I didn't know. So all I knew is that she would leave, and that perhaps she could come back weeks later, or perhaps she would never come back. I do not know. She was cryptic in leaving. And so in May, she started equipping.
In the previous video, he said that he didn't know why she left. If she had been preparing this for years, so much so that she had practiced for it and had strategies and planned for what she wanted to do, then how could he possibly not know why she left? That was the first thing he said.
Herself, buying camping material. She ordered stuff on Amazon. And the kind of thing that allows you to survive in the wild or be around a campfire comfortably, that kind of stuff. And in June, she was prepared. And on June 17th, she asked me to give her a first drive, which she had done in the past also. Mama JF likes to be brought at certain place where she knows that there are more truckers, where she has more chances to get a hitchhike customer, not a customer, but a hitchhike person willing to carry her. And so I brought her exactly at the place where she wanted, which was close to a bridge in Canada that is very well known. And that is the most passing place where she can grab a trucker that she knows will do for her many hours of traveling.
Well, it'll get her off the island. The only way that is not swimming or a boat off PEI is this bridge. It's called a ride. Yeah.
So I dropped her there in front of cameras of a gas station. I'm giving these details for the conspiracy theorists out there who think I'm a murderer. And I gave, by the way, everything I'm telling you tonight, Andrew, I told the police.
I understand.
So I dropped her in front of cameras at a gas station, and at the beginning of the investigation, that was the last time anyone saw her, and that was the last time I saw her. On June, in the early afternoon, June 17th, she was at that gas station telling me goodbye and equipped for her trip. She did travel, and in the 2 following days, I knew that she was alive. So June 18, June 19, we had some contacts and some exchanges.
What
and
sort
at
of
some,
contacts and exchanges, JF?
well, I think we
Good
tried
question.
calling each other at some point. The reception wasn't super good, and then we transferred to text. We discussed. I wanted to make sure that she was okay. On
there
June
is-
19th, I had her.
So there should be 2 days of text evidence of whatever, right? I mean, if he dropped her off at that bridge in PEI, the one that goes into New Brunswick, then she could be anywhere in New Brunswick. New Brunswick is very large, especially compared to PEI.
Our last contact in
It's also a lot less populated, not from a number standpoint, but for like per square foot. There's more people in a condensed area in PEI than there is. I mean, I showed you what it looked like.
text, and she told me basically that she would drop her cell phone behind. She would abandon her cell phone, and that she would not be reachable. And I just made sure.
Okay, so where was she when that happened? Because it was 2 days of travel. If she's 10 hours away from Quebec, that's 2 days of travel. So where was she? Did she drop where she had reception in Quebec? Or, like, I feel like this is all information you could have had and you don't have. And, I mean, if we want to give JF the benefit of the doubt, we could say he doesn't have it because he didn't care and they had basically broken up and had been broken up for, I guess, a year emotionally at that point. And so he was fine to just, okay, well, bye, see you later. And, like, I would be more convinced if he wasn't contradicting himself so much about what had gone on. Like, it's very easy that she could have gotten lost or she could have gotten, like, human trafficking, yeah, or like she got picked up by a trucker somewhere and then dropped off at a different truck stop and then got picked up by somebody sketchy. Like there's a bajillion things that could have happened. But like the fact that he's like his behavior is the thing that's giving the people the fucking red flags, right? The way he's describing this, the contradictions, like like he could have done legitimately nothing. And just been like, okay, well, whatever. If he had just stuck to this fucking story, but he keeps changing it.
That she didn't have any evil intent against me. I said, are your new plans dangerous for me? Are you going to attack me in any way? And she said, no, you don't have to be worried. I am just going away and I will not be reachable. I have a plan. So those are the last words of Mama JF to me. And
so you didn't ask what the plan was, where she was dropping her phone at, just in case. No, like nothing, just nothing. All right.
That very day where she sent that text, we now know that she was seen in another location than the gas station I dropped her.
Yeah, I actually have that here. This is the RCMP who are continuing their investigation into this case. And this was released, looks like they say that the last time that she was seen was on June 19th. And so this is when you're saying it's the last time you talked to her as well.
Oh, where?
Yes.
Where's the...
So on June 19th...
Do you have that somewhere? Where is that? I want to see that. Did you put it in the description? Shit. Well, I wanted to read that. All I got was this one. This is June 17th, so you've got an updated one. I don't have the updated one. Where's the update? What the hell, man? Maybe I can see if I can find one. Updated missing persons, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. October 6th, 2023, Charlottetown. RCMP continued their investigation to locate Mama JF. RCMP have learned that her last known sighting was Albert Street, Moncton. Okay, Moncton is in that's New Brunswick. Wearing a brown faux leather jacket, black pants, has a school bag with her. RCMP have made a school bag? I thought she had camping gear. What happened to all of her camping gear? The RCMP have made use of a new Missing Persons Act as part of the investigation. If you have any information concerning the location of her, please contact the Prince District RCMP. So it's still the Prince Edward Island. And then it's the original release on October 3rd. But yeah, that's the updated as of October 6th. I found it. Hooray. Good for me.
And she has sent that text, and she was seen by people there in Moncton, New Brunswick, which is at least 2 hours, about 2 hours, I think, from where we live. So she had done already some traveling on hitchhiking, and she had gone from the gas station I had left her, and she was already...
I've been around there. That's pretty close. That from the bridge to Moncton, 2 hours is a reasonable, off the top of your head, guesstimation.
Progressing on her trip. That is the last time, for now, that we know publicly and that I know. It's the last time anyone has ever saw her or communicated with her. So we, of course, during all this time.
The thing is that even if he didn't kill her, right? Fine, whatever. I'm not making a judgment on that one way or another. But or like negligently set her up to die, right? Like even if he didn't do that. Just the idea that this was your last contact with her, you had no idea where this location was and couldn't give it to the police. Somebody else had seen her, and that's where that is up until this point, and you didn't report her missing for 4 months. If she turns up dead or is never found, people are going to blame you for it anyway. Because you didn't report her missing.
Time I informed her family that she was going toward them because I knew that she was probably headed west in Canada. So I informed the people around her and the people...
What do you mean probably headed west? What other direction did she have to go in? I implore you, look at this map, look at PEI, and please inform me what other direction besides east is she supposed to go? Prince Edward Island is right here. The only other option is Labrador. Like, but that's almost mostly north, not east. She's right here. Where the fuck else is she gonna go? Oh. If they were supposed to be going on a trip and then they disappeared, yes, I would.
All who care about her.
Whenabouts was this that you informed them?
From the very day I dropped her on June 17th. And so they knew about it. And the position of her family, who loves her very much, is that you cannot retain a woman against her will. And they have always been clear to me that they don't want me to beat Mama JF. They don't want me to intimidate Mama JF. And I've always lived by these principles anyway, so it's not...
Why would they need to feel why would they feel like it's so necessary to enforce that upon you, I wonder?
It's not like I needed to be told by them not to do that, but we were all agreeing that if Mama JF wants to travel, she can, and that she is a free woman, and she has a full understanding of the risks. There are risks.
The family that you talk to, is this like extended family, mom, dad, this kind of thing?
Yeah, mom, dad, close family of that kind.
Okay, so they were aware when you dropped her off that you were dropping her off on the 17th. They knew completely what was going on. This was viewed on surveillance cameras. And has she had any communication with them?
I mean, this is a personal relationship between them, so I don't know in full, but I know that since June 19th, They
Wait, no. We know that at least a degree to that is not true because he talked about in the first video that, or in his stream, that there was a concern about whether or not they should report her missing because nobody had heard from her. So he knows, at least as far as he's concerned, as that is a family conversation that he allegedly had, that none of them had heard from her either. And if, like he said, he dropped off his phone or her phone, then I mean there's ways that, like, in Moncton, like Moncton's like big for New Brunswick. It's not that big, but it like exists. Like Fredericton is the bigger city, I think. I don't know if it is population wise. Either way, it's very lovely if you ever go, especially in fall. Like, that's the other thing. He dropped her off in June. She disappeared in June. Fall in New Brunswick is absolutely very, very lovely to drive through. I definitely recommend checking it out. There's a lot of forested area. It's beautiful.
they are also looking for her, so I would suppose that they haven't gotten any communication from her.
Okay, gotcha. So I went actually and pulled out my own hiking gear, and I did like just to kind of wait it all out. And I go and hike quite a bit myself. For 2 straight days of hiking in the wilderness, I carry about 35 pounds of equipment, which is a little more than you should. Okay, but I always prepare for contingencies, emergencies, things like this. If I was going to go out for a week, it would probably be around 55, 60 pounds. What sort of equipment was Mama JF going into the wilderness with? According to the kind of update missing persons report,
there's a big difference between her going into the wilderness and being dropped off at a gas station to hitchhike via truckers. Like, those are different. Like, if you go hiking, or if you go, and I'm not saying this to pick on Andrew. I'm saying this to pick on JF. There's a really big difference between I'm taking all my camping gear and then I'm hitchhiking versus I'm taking all my hiking gear and I'm going into the wilderness of New Brunswick. Those are very, very different things.
She was just kind of seen with a nap bag, right? Just a regular backpack. So what was she carrying in the terms of survival?
It said a school bag specifically.
Well, I mean, I know that she's been collecting a lot of stuff. The kind of things like a stool for sitting around fires, some material to light a fire, a knife. But looking at the size of her bag as she left, I wouldn't think that she was going at the point when she left. I wouldn't think that she was going for extended survival in nature. Mama JF,
then why wouldn't you call her missing when she'd been gone for like 3 days to a week, which would have been the end of her year, and you hadn't heard from her?
She goes on hitchhiking trips. She uses human society a lot. She will ask for help. She will find new friends to partner with. She will receive help and gifts and food. We're not talking, at least as far as I know, she had no intent of going into the actual forest, surviving for extended period. She may pass in a forest at times to get from one road to another, but that is it. Mama JF is a urban creature.
Yeah, so urban survival is what you're talking about. Okay. So one of the keys here, though, is that if you're going to cross borders and you're going to do this kind of thing, that you've expressed it's been a meme on the internet, 00 Mama JF, right? 00 agent. That's still going to require things like passports, sets of identification, things like this. You would think that the authorities could fairly easily track that stuff down if she had been crossing into any borders. So it stands to reason she's likely still in Canada, right?
As the investigator told me exactly this, and I said, Mama JF is a special case. She has not been, she has shown in the past being able to switch countries at time using networks of smuggling. When she visited the Spain enclave in North Africa, where she was observing migrant movements. she went there, and I believe that she had lost her passport and was able to get from country to country without passport. And so, as I said to the investigator,
it's a very big difference between when you have a passport that you've lost between point A and point B that you may or may not be able to get. Like, there are ways to deal with that, because that is an eventuality that will happen to somebody eventually. And you can go to, like, the embassy in that area, versus if you're trying to purposefully hop the border, just not having something. Those are different things. But I'm just going to give you guys a quick look at the map again, because I'm just going to show you where Moncton is. So Moncton's right here. So if she's trying to travel to, like, Maine, if she's trying to border hop into the States, this is the no-touching zone. Right, this right here is where that's the Canadian-American border. Right, so, like, she'd be in, her next order of business would be Maine. And just to be clear, Moncton is right here, and PEI and Borden is right here where they said they saw her. So they said they saw her here. This is Moncton. Then if you were to follow this highway, you'd be able to get to the border about here, right? And then you'd be in Maine. So that's the border cross. So instead of going up north and around towards Quebec, or even just straight through to Quebec, some people will do that because it's faster. But yeah, that would be the course she would have to take if that's where she was going.
Sure, I don't expect her to be outside of Canada, but I also wouldn't bar it as an hypothesis.
Sure.
Well, I mean, there's only one place that she could go from Canada, which would be right south into the United States. That would basically be where she
That
could
is a
go,
false.
right?
Interestingly enough, no, you don't even have to go south. You would just have to go just west, straight west, take you right into Maine. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Andrew here. I think he's doing a fine job. I just thought that was a kind of a funny thing since we were just looking at it.
Right. Assumption. As I said on my show, she could be on a container of bananas headed toward Peru right now.
Do you think that that's actually likely?
I think it's totally possible. Mama Jeff is capable of everything. There is not a sort of travel that she hasn't done.
That's interesting. And what did the investigators say when you told them that?
And well, I told them you'll basically be pursuing a fugitive who has committed no crime. Basically, Mama JF will hide from you guys, and if you want to have fun finding her, go ahead. But you're probably trying to, and this is my point to the investigator. I get it that you have standards. You have to do stuff. And when you hear about a woman who has disappeared, you have to unleash the whole cavalry at her no matter what. We don't know. She could be in danger. But most likely you're deploying all of these efforts for a party girl who just happens to be hiding very well.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in the
But why would she be hiding? What reason does she have to be hiding from anybody? Especially if she was off-grid anyway and wouldn't know anybody was investigating and looking for her at all.
Investigator's shoes, and I'm just going to be as completely blunt and honest as I can be. Of course, that would sound really weird to me, that you take a woman, and this is uncommon anyway for women to be traveling alone, especially in this day and age, let alone, cross country and hidden in banana carts and, things like this, being smuggled across borders 007 style, and also killing all of their electronic equipment so that nobody can track them. It does sound really like I almost don't blame the internet for being kind of mad at you, JF, because it sounds awful fucking suspicious, right?
And it's okay that these suspicions develop. Let me tell you, the investigators are super professionals, and they didn't fall for what the trolls of the internet right now are falling. For what the Ramsey Paul of this world. Ramsey Paul is on exactly the line of logic you just laid out here. Oh, it's weird. Oh, you cleaned your house after she was gone. It's weird. Let me tell you.
I did see that video, by the way.
The policemen have shown so much more intelligence.
Sorry, that's not the thing that I'm saying is weird. To be clear, he can do whatever he wants. There's some things that are coinciding that are kind of like, all right. I can see why people would think that's suspicious. I can see why it's not really. What's weird to me is his lack of giving any kind of a fuck, and his self-contradiction about his, like, what he's saying and his behavior just in his own, like, just contained in his own video. That's though it's weird to me. It's I can see why people would jump to the he murdered her, but I could also see that this being jumped to, like, she had a plan. He knows more about what his plan than he's telling, like, the internet, and it's just like, she's gonna turn up in like, I don't know, Ohio in another 2 months, like in January or something, and like he knows this for a fact, like, and like that's part of, like, so he's like not even concerned because he's just like, no, she's supposed to be missing for an amount of time, and so like it's, did he murder her? I don't fucking know.
Than these people who I considered friends. Like Ramsey Paul has been a guest on my show before. I didn't expect to be betrayed like this. But the investigators, they don't fall for this crap. The investigators are all about facts, and they have ways of checking what you say. I remember the first time they interviewed me, he looked at me in the eye and he said, "So you're telling me that we're going to see your car at this date, at this hour, on this camera?" And I said, "Yes, you will." So they didn't fall for me being a suspect at all, ever, at no point of this investigation. Despite
that, I don't believe. If the police are watching his house and watching his movements, because he said that they were outside of his house 24/7, and that they're checking in on him daily, if not 2 times a day, he's at least on a suspect list, if not the only suspect.
The fact that I laid out exactly the same story that I lay out on the internet. So you say, yes, people have their suspicions. I believe that if we can use this case, because of all the nervousness that it induces in all of our family and everything, I think we can use this case positively to detect an epistemological error in how the mobs process guilt in our world, and how we always go to the man, and the closest man is always guilty no matter what.
Yeah, that's not what's happening here. On the other hand, you can look at, like, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case and see how that's not the case, and you can look at any number of cases and how it will swing wildly depending on what's going on and what year it is. I agree with April, though. It's like, you could believe the story either way. It looks like he knows something and he's getting off on everyone else not knowing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it could. Is Mama JF missing a psyop? Is it all a plan? Is it all a ploy?
Have people telling me, you're still guilty even if you didn't kill her. You're guilty of neglect.
I saw that video clip.
And you're still guilty if you haven't neglected her. You're guilty of not having convinced her to stay.
Right. If you set up somebody who you believe is mentally ill to go and wander off on their own, and she turns up dead, and you didn't call the police out of her to report her as a missing person when you had ample time to do so for 4 months, and it wasn't until someone else called, people are going to say that you're culpable and responsible for her death, whether you believe you did anything wrong or not, and whether you actually stabbed her with a knife or put cement in her shoes. Because there's more than one way that you can be responsible for someone else's welfare. No matter what and at this point it'll be no matter what the legal system finds, if they find anything at all.
Hey, at this point, I'm guilty of what? Of being a man and having a woman who doesn't want to be with me anymore.
Definitely that.
It's insane. They want you to keep the woman, but if you keep her, then you're a kidnapper. But if you let her go, then you're a neglectful husband. I say crap to all this, and I say, Mama JF is a free woman who has demonstrated extreme ability for survival. Like the chances that you wouldn't get raped through what she's gone through in her life is almost zero. And yet she has done it, and she has never had harm come her way against her will. And so I respect her intelligence and her capacities. This is a woman who can pull out a violin from her box and come play with me on the show while I do an improvised tune that she's never heard about. This is a high IQ, extremely capable woman. And personally, I always told
In the other show, he said that she was mentally incapable of making decisions. What do you mean? Pick a lane.
the investigator, I don't think she's in trouble. I still think as of today that she is good.
Gotcha. Well, I think there's a lot of merit in what you're saying when it comes to, like, why would you instantly, without knowing much about the case, cast aspersions? I think that it's okay for people to inquire if something sounds off. I think that it's wrong for them to jump to conclusions. I do also understand, though, that while you are correct that they probably shouldn't point directly at the closest man, oftentimes the closest man is responsible for the disappearance. If we look at the stats, I mean, that does happen quite often. Most murders happen from family members, things like that.
But
And
see what you
everybody
just
thinks
did
they're an
this.
internet detective.
What
right?
a wonderful computation you just did, except that it's only allowed against white men. Make that computation against any other category and we'll see what happens to you.
Well, I mean, it's just men in general, isn't it?
Well, no, because there are statistics that would allow me to say the exact same bigoted thing you just said. And they would allow me to say it, and I could get banned for saying it. Yeah. So people wake up, just check your own bigotry. You guys are all after me, and ultimately it's because you hate men.
I mean, fair enough. I was just going off of
I think he's asking for a more specific statistic. So instead of like talking about gender, he's talking about taking the genders and then divvying them up by race, I would assume, but who knows what it could be with JF.
The stats that they show when it comes to if a person has actually been murdered at all, it usually comes from the family.
Yeah, but we don't do accusations of murder in this society on stats. It's like I could be part of a group of people who murder a lot, and I could
No, charges. You're talking about the difference between accusations and charges. So this is the difference between what, like, society or groups of people will do, and he's conflating that with what the law does. The law does different things and has, like, a specific standard that it has to follow, and there are rules. Whereas, like, the public forum of Twitter or Rumble or his audience is not required to follow this letter of standard. There's a difference between getting a guilty conviction and people saying, yeah, I think he murdered his wife. Those are different things. So JF has bragged about liking women who are, in his own words, very low IQ, and now she's the most intelligent person he's ever met. Yeah, it's weird how it kind of jumps around like that. It's a big difference from the way he's describing the situation, and, like, not just, like, his tone, but, like, the words he's using here have changed, and now it's turned into a soapbox. Right now, it's this person, Andrew is asking him about the particular situation, and JF is trying to use Andrew's platform in question which is a generally innocuous question, or just a general, like, he's not saying anything outrageous or terribly specific. JF is trying to use that as a platform to springboard onto this soapbox about his fucking political ideology, which is kind of an interesting focus when your wife is missing.
Could happen to be the one who doesn't murder, and our society has a commitment to principles of due process that allow us to say, even if you're a group that commits a lot of murder,
memes due process do not apply. Sorry, that's just, the memes are not required to follow the letter of the law, like, in that order. Like, could you get in trouble for memes legally? Maybe. But the production of said meme does not require you to have a guilty conviction.
we're never going to get at you if you haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, right. But if you were a detective, let's say, JF.
I mean, that's not true.
And you had worked like 1,000 of these types of cases, like a whodunit style case. I mean, if if all the statistics and most of what you saw showed that it comes from the family and generally from them, I mean, wouldn't you logically follow that in your investigation style?
No, and see this kind of
Yes. Yeah, no. Andrew is correct, and JF is conflating Andrew's correct statement about using that as a jumping off point or a direction to take an investigation to see what it garners versus what JF is taking that as a conviction. You could do libel enemy.
probabilistic thinking is exactly the kind of parasite that's taking over society like a cancer, and we must eliminate it completely. What you mentioned there is not investigative good practice.
That would eliminate communication. If you were to entirely in every scenario take every person as if like what all of their words could mean anything, or all of like what they're saying, or all of their gestures could mean anything, you would never be able to communicate with anybody in any kind of reasonable amount of time. As a society, we have social contracts where we agree on things. That's how we have colors and names for colors, and though your color red might not be the same as my color red, we both have a general agreement about this amount of color is red around here, right? And so like we can do that with a lot of things. A dog is a dog because we as a society decided to call it a dog and identify it by these traits. If we were to remove that entire, so like if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it's like it sounds like a duck and it swims like a duck, then it's probably a duck. Does that mean it's guaranteed to be a duck? No. Maybe it's a platypus. I'm not giving you enough information to definitively say, but you can still use a degree of probability and statistics to be like, okay, well, then yeah, it's probably a duck. Does that mean you convict the duck of murder? No. That's not due process, but it is how society functions. Do platypus quack like? Good question, actually. Hold on. Oh wait, no, now I want the answer to this question. The fuck sound does a platypus make?
The platypus is likely one of the world's most unusual creatures found in Australia, where they live in burrows near rivers and streams. And though
No, I want to know what it sounds like.
This is probably the weirdest animal in the world. Meet the platypus, Australia's enigma. Platypus, or Ornithorhynchus anatinus, is a mysterious
I wanna know
animal that
the
borrows all of
sound.
its body parts from different animals. It looks like a combination of beaver, otter,
Oh, come on, man. Give me platypus noises. Alright, well, now you know. Now you know the sound of the platypus makes. Love that.
And what I've seen from the police of the federal government of Canada and the major crime unit is not what you lay out at all right here. They don't care about probabilities. They care about facts. They care about everything they can know for sure. And they start from what they have that they can know for sure, and then they make a step above. And then
Right, but they start questioning you because of the probability that you were the last one to see her. And so since it's probable that she could have spoken to you or her family members, they're going to go and investigate those things and then use the facts of the matter to make a decision about one thing or the other. It's a combination of the two things, and JF is just blowing it into some other total proportion.
they question. And then they integrate all this information and they don't ask themselves, is it likely that? Is it likely this? They go with what they know and they make one more step and one more step. And now they're at their second step. They are now in Moncton 2 days after I dropped Mama JF. That is good police work. And what you mentioned there is what I've seen again and again in family courts and social workers and that kind of bigoted bureaucrats who kidnap children. And I say, fuck this.
That
And
actually
I'm so
sounds
happy
reasonable.
to
there's a really different, social work and civil court is different than criminal court. Those are different things. So if you're talking about divorce court and no-fault divorce, and if you're talking about who gets which kids in the divorce, you're not getting an RCMP fucking investigation into that scenario. That's a civil matter, not a criminal federal matter. The fact that you're trying to conflate these things as if they're even remotely the same thing is absurd. Do not tell this man that this actually sounds reasonable. No, it's not.
To be surrounded by professionals for once who want to do these probabilistic calculation. Finally, in my life, for the first time, I get due process.
Well, I mean, I think what you're saying.
You haven't
is
been
reasonable.
charged.
You know what I mean?
No. He hasn't been charged with anything yet. There hasn't been any due process. Right now, there's just investigation happening, and he doesn't let them into his house, and then he's gonna get a warrant. And watch this. If they get a warrant, I'm calling this now. Pick up the phone. I'm calling it. If the RCMP get a warrant and they find anything to charge him, he's going to complain. Even if they don't charge him, I bet if they get a warrant to search his house, he's going to bitch about it, and then suddenly the RCMP are doing a terrible job. Ears out for that phone ringing.
Maybe it's a presupposition I've never been challenged on, so I find it to be fair. In this particular case, I wanted you to be able to come out and kind of give your side of this.
I'm going to go ahead and give Andrew some leeway because I'm not familiar with the Crucible. I might go and go look at their stuff now because now I'm kind of interested. I'm a little curious. Only because he might be like, oh, we're not here to argue about this, so I'm going to be like, you know what, that sounds reasonable, and move on so he can continue the interview without getting JF too far off the rails. So I'm not going to be judgy about whether or not he doesn't, if you're trying to do an interview with somebody, you're trying to get them to move on. You're not going to be there to argue every little stupid thing that JF fucking says.
And give sufficient pushback, but I'm not trying to, like, crucify or nail you to the cross, you know what I mean? I'm just
Why
like
not?
you,
The show's
just
called The
wanna
Crucible.
know, kind of what happened because it's a human interest piece at this point. I'd also like
fair.
to notate, because this is something that has come up multiple times, of course. During the video, you did say, you know, you went through, you kind of cleaned up your house, this and that, and I saw a Twitter take, which was interesting. The guy tweeted out, he said, imagine trying to crucify this guy because his girl leaves and he cleans his house, right? Like, that seems a little bit odd. That's the society.
I find it odd that everybody's latching onto this cleaning his house thing and not the renovations. Like what kind of renovations? You redo the floor? Like, if you want to talk about whether or not he, like, committed murder, redoing the flooring, if there's blood on the floor, would be pretty reasonable, right? You know what I mean? Look at JF's face. The most civil disagreements infuriates him. Yeah, he seems like he lives at, like an 8.5, and he's just ready to go over that edge immediately. It's pretty crazy. He made sure to mention that he really had to scrub and disinfect. Yep. Yeah, he did.
We live in, but I mean, it is the society that we do live in. But on the other hand, again, it kind of rings the alarm bells a little bit. If there's a missing person, you're going through, you're thoroughly cleaning the house, right? Can you kind of walk us through the process there? Why you decided to do the new plaster work and all of this shortly after Mama JF is gone?
The thing is, when you listen to these crime stories on TV, you see a lot of mentions of, oh, he was seen by a neighbor.
Why? Can you just answer the question one-to-one? Like, can you just say, well, the reason I was cleaning the house was because, let's say he was reasonable. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, let's say JF was like your average person who just got broken up with. She had left, she was on her way. Notice how he never says that she broke up with him. He's never said that. That's not the way he describes this scenario. But if your wife left you and she broke up with you and she left and you were like, there's a lot of things in this house that remind me of her, especially like if you weren't expecting her to come back, which is not what you've been describing. You've been describing that you do expect her to come back. You just scrub the house of her existence. You know what I mean? good lord, he knows where she is and he is trying to get arrested. I mean, I think if JF got arrested, I'm pretty sure he would cry victim card. You know what I mean? He'd be like, oh my god, I'm being prosecuted because I'm a man. Oh, we let crazy women make decisions. This is the result of that. I'm in jail now.
Neighbor frenetically cleaning his car. And people have integrated this and they've thought, oh my god, this is a piece of evidence. And they concluded from looking at my old videos from the time around June, you know, around the date.
Best case scenario, JF gets charged, gets arrested, gets convicted, goes to jail, and she turns up alive. That would be fucking great. Like, turns up alive, totally fine, was actually in Coachella, like, had a great time. That is the best case scenario, because that would be hilarious. That'd be so funny. I feel like my response would be like, wow, that's rough, buddy.
Where I left where I left Mama JF at the gas station, they started making the conclusion that, oh, we have a piece of evidence here. JF mentioned cleaning his house. What these people don't realize is when police they process through the cleaning car or cleaning house, it will be often in relation to a place where there has been a murder. They will clean a car because there was blood in the car. They will clean their house because there was blood in the house. In my case, the police has already established that the last contact of Mama JF happened very far from my home after there were no more contacts between me and her. And so it's...
Did they confirm that, or is that just you telling us that these things existed? Because we haven't seen the phone calls, we haven't seen the phone records, we haven't seen the text messages, and if this investigation turns into a public case, we will get to see those things. Especially with how much JF has described how he knows how to fake these things, to pretend that somebody is where they are. Is it beyond JF to dress somebody up like his wife and have her go off and have him drive away at a police station, have her walk around the block and or even just actually get Mama JF to get out of her car with like a backpack at a thing, have him drive away, have her be at the gas station, have her walk away from the gas station, and then have him pick her up right again 20 minutes later? I don't know. Yeah, we haven't seen this gas footage, the gas station footage either. There's a lot of, we're just stuck, the only information we have is she's missing, the RCMP are looking for her, they believe that they saw her with a school backpack in Moncton, in not camping gear, not stuff to go out into the wilds or to go out in the urban area, with a school backpack. And then the rest is everything that we just have to... The only information we're getting is from JF directly, and that shit's contradictory as fuck so far. So, like, really?
It's not a case where they would have a location of murder that would be tied to my frenetic cleaning of it. So I'm afraid that in this case, it's just a case of the trolls of the internet improvising themselves investigators and watching through my whole videos and detecting this one detail. I cleaned my house.
The reason there is an investigation in the first place was because people were watching your videos and noticed Mama JF was missing. So, yeah.
House when Mama JF was gone. And if you don't understand why, you probably have been single forever.
You said you didn't know why she was leaving. That's you! You said that thing!
Anyone knows that a female has a lot of imprint onto a house. They do a lot of crazy stuff. Sometimes they play with water. Sometimes it gets into the electronics. I mean, Mama JF has broken 2 of my laptops just playing with water. So when a woman leaves the house and she has controlled the fridge, she has controlled the plates.
Are they mermaids? Are they dogs? Are they seals? They just splash around, they just have some water, and are just, the power of Christ compels you. Like, what are you talking about?
Has controlled the placement of all of the tools in the kitchen for years. you come back to your home and you look at it and you want to reshape it in the way you want. So I reshaped the home when I came back from dropping Mama JF.
But when you were dropping her off, you were expecting she was going to come back within a short span of time. That's what you described. So if you thought she was coming back within a short span of time, why would you renovate it all if it wasn't just going to be you there anymore? But now you're acting like you weren't expecting her to ever come back. So if you weren't expecting to, why?
And holy shit, did it felt comfortable after years of having a packed fridge. I love a fridge that there's lots of space. I love to have so much space that I can put my arm in it and reach for my Diet Pepsi can that's at the center of it.
Didn't Jeff say that JF had 2 kids? And you want to have an empty fridge with 2 kids so you have to go shopping every day for dinner? Like, what are you talking about?
Couldn't do that with Mama JF and all of our lettuces and our carrots and our beets. So yes, I did clean my house when an important event in my life happened, which is that my wife has gone on a
Dumped
trip,
you.
and I would never know if when she would come.
It's she's gone on a trip. It's that she went off. She dumped you? Did she try to leave? Did she leave you? Did you get dumped? Can you not acknowledge that she left you? Is that it's a weird distinction. Like it's odd to not describe it this way at all, especially when you describe it as an emotional part in your life that she's just going on a trip, she's coming back. So why are you acting like she's not coming back after just dropping her off? This is why people are like, you did something, because this is fucking weird.
I'm back.
Well, and so just if this is off bounds, you can tell me. Are you and Mama JF married?
Well, I call her my wife. We are common law spouse.
Okay.
But for paper reasons, we didn't have an interest in marrying ourselves, but I consider myself tied to her forever and bound to defend her interest forever, dead or alive, and with a boyfriend or a new boyfriend or not, I will always respect what Mama JF has done in my life, and I consider myself a servant of her interest forever.
Okay, gotcha. Moving backwards a little bit, if you don't mind. Kind of the lead up, you said that there was a plan that she kind of had for
It's a very odd
forever,
complaint.
right? For a couple of years, as what you said earlier in the broadcast here. Have you guys discussed this plan?
And she was planning on leaving. She had planning this trip for years, though, which is not something he described before. Yeah, what a horrible girlfriend for checks notes, stocking your fridge with fresh vegetables. How dare she provide you substance, you and your kids.
Plan? Has she talked about it a lot? Did you try to talk her out of the plan? Like, kind of walk me through the plan of Mama JF.
Yes, I've always advocated that Mama JF should stay with me and continue building a family and continue building our dream farmland that we have been living on. But Mama JF had a pull that was pulling her back to her hippie lifestyle.
She's a hobbit. She's got wanderlust.
This has been
Sorry,
forever.
Kender.
I mean, it has been from the first year we were together in 2018 that she would talk about this. So the plan, you say, what was the plan? Well, it's hard to get a plan from a hippie, you know. She doesn't have a mind like mine. She doesn't make plans that are explicit, but she had dreams. She dreams of being a star, of making noise, sometimes she dreams of promoting the revolutionary phenotype, you know. Mama JF had a...
Did he just book promo in the middle of My Wife is Missing? Oh no! What are you doing? Are you serious? He literally just dropped a fucking book promo while doing the tour of My Wife Has Disappeared and everybody thinks I murdered her? Holy shit, dude! Oh no! I can't.
a strong idea that She had to push ideas out there, change the world. Sometimes she wanted to build castles where commune of hippies could be gathering and living together. It's hard to present as a plan, but that is the mind of Mama JF, which I respect. So, all these things. She was dreaming of a wild life and a crazy life.
And, I'm going to ask this one too, and of course you can...
She's going on a hitchhike tour to promote my book to all the truckers across Canada. She's gonna go join the anti-vax convoy.
Brush it away or tell me it's off limits or whatever. Were you guys feuding and fighting about this in the lead up to kind of the drop off, and was there kind of contention about this? Obviously you didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah, no, I don't fight because I'm a libertarian and I have so much invested in preserving my good relationship with Mama JF rather than be conflictual about it, that it's not in my interest to fight or to pressure or to make her feel comfortable. So what she always had from me was saying, I oppose to this, it's bad, you will expose yourself to all sorts of risks. You could get raped, you could get killed, anything could happen to you. But if you want it...
But he just said he thought that there was a 0% chance of her being assaulted. Libertarian's famous pacifist. Ah, yes, of course. I feel like libertarian is just a word he uses to describe whatever is convenient for him at the time. Like, it's not consistent. Then again, watching this is the most JF content I've consumed in forever, probably. I think I might have seen him on a stream a long time ago. And so this is the most I've ever seen the guy, and at least my impression so far is that he's very inconsistent and he's not good at I feel like he tries to think ahead, gets really confident that he has thought ahead, but then says he's so busy thinking ahead that he didn't think about the thing that he's currently saying. And so he doesn't realize that the thing he's thought of to say here contradicts the thing that he's currently spewing out of his mouth hole.
To happen that way, I fully respect this, and I'll drop you at the safest place I can.
A gas station.
Has this caused you a significant amount of emotional distress? I mean, after all, this was going on for months before you were ever able to even come out into the public with it.
No, apparently it was a year. Apparently she had been planning this trip for a year and ended up with a school bag.
May not have, right? If this hadn't turned into a missing persons case and this type of thing, has this really caused you a lot of emotional distress?
Yes, certainly.
No.
I mean, it's normal for someone who doesn't know where their partner is.
You said you don't care. You said you're not worried about her. You said the cops care more than you do. You said you were happy that she was gone because you were able to clean your house and get it set up the way you want, and your fridge is empty, which apparently you prefer. So don't turn around and say that this is stressing you out, because when you described it stressing you out, you turned around and said you didn't give a shit. So... no. I don't believe that.
It's normal to be nervous, and there's lots of nervousness in not knowing, in imagining the worst scenarios.
I am so distressed.
Also, the restraint that you have to have, because, for example, there are things that I know are in the investigation right now that I will not mention and cannot mention.
I understand.
That's
because
fair.
There are things that you have to defend people's private rights to, privacy. There are things that...
Yeah, but you use that as an excuse to not put her picture or name out so people could find her, which is kind of fucked up.
If you say them and they're not totally conclusive yet, it could disrupt the investigation, because it could throw off a lot of traces of people saying, oh, well, if that was established, I'm not going to call the police. And you don't want to create this inhibitory...
Mama JF is making her way down to go live with G-Man. Confirmed. That's what he just described. He knows that she's heading down to go visit G-Man and go live in Revan Shani's house that G-Man now owns. and she's gonna turn up there in like another month or two, or however long it's gonna take her to get there, and JF is just running around riding the social wave and going on everybody's shit to get all so he can sell his book. And then he doesn't, and JF doesn't want to acknowledge that he got dumped for G-Man. Confirmed.
Effect, and you want everyone to be on their best behavior and to be thirsty to call the police and try to report the most facts they can. So all of this combined, yes, is a lot of cognitive load, a lot of effort, but let me tell you, the peacefulness of Mama JF in her desire not to hurt me is something that is so much more tolerable than a lot of other cases that have happened in my life.
Sure.
There's a way in separation, I'm sure you know about it in our current world, where women can destroy the lives of their husband.
And often
they can
do it on
destroy them
purpose.
financially, they can kidnap the kids, they can do anything. The fact that Mama JF has decided for this trip, but in a way that was totally non-hostile to me, makes it much more bearable psychologically. And I totally respect the way she's done it. It's a clean way, and it's what we should be headed toward. If we had a society that denies women the right to make these false allegations in family courts, that denies those false rape, defamation cases that people start against men, I think that would be highly desirable. And Mama JF, she had the moral pillar to be that way without society forcing her to be that way.
Well, JF, the way that you kind of described that,
Sure.
this sounds almost less like it was a trip and more like it was an actual separation. Is that how you're viewing it?
I don't know because Mama JF has done this before and she came back.
Ask him if he got dumped. Come on. You can separate and then get back together. That's a thing that people do. Ask him if he got dumped.
2 weeks later. So it's like, when you are with a woman who has
2
such
weeks
an
versus 4
unstable,
months.
drive, you cannot know. The moment I left her at that gas station, I thought it was potentially the case that she would come back 2 weeks later, because that's what she did last time. So what do you trust? Do you trust your instinct? Do you trust what she tells?
Oh, I'm sorry, are you telling me that you used probability because you had experienced it before to come to a conclusion that was not necessarily accurate? That's so strange. Why would you do something so foolish? This is either an actual murder or one of the saddest men alive. Maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It's like 50% murder, 50% saddest man alive. I can't wait to find out what 50% of murder is.
Do you trust what she did last time? All of these factors are speaking to different realities, and you interpret all of this, and at some point as a man you have to say, I have no control over what this woman does, and whatever she does,
He's
I will
literally
just
washing
be here
his hands
when
of
she
her.
comes back. And that could be in 2 weeks
When?
from now, or it could be in 20 years from now.
No. He said when she comes back, not if. And not if or when. So most of the time he's being very specific about like if she's dead or if she's alive or if this or if that. This there is no if here. That is when she comes back. 2 weeks from now or 20 years from now. When. He seems very confident.
I don't care.
Do you expect that she will come back?
I act in every day of my life as if she could come back. And
Then why did you clean your house out
if she
like
does
that?
come back, I'll be there. And if she doesn't, that is also fine.
Are you? But you're hoping she is, obviously.
Well, I'm neutral because I don't want her to come back if she doesn't want to come back. And I know Will when I see it, and I've seen her leave of her own will. So I wouldn't want her to come back and feel imprisoned or forced to come back. But if she does, she knows that she has my full
Mama
support and
Jesus.
my full commitment to her forever.
If she was watching this broadcast right now, would you make the recommendation to her to go ahead and call the police and just let them know that she's okay, That way they could close the investigation up and everybody kind of move on from this.
Yes, I would say, Mama JF, if you are listening to this, know that I've not started any of this process, but it started making noise in the media, so
He seems to be very stringent about making sure that anybody knows that he's not the one who started the investigation, which seems kind of odd to me. Like, I don't know why you would feel the need to do that. Like, I don't know what the motivation is behind, like, that necessity. Like, he pushes that pretty hard.
when it started making that noise, I had to come out and talk about it simply to correct all of those attacks against me and those lies. I have
You
nothing
kinda just
against
made it
you,
worse,
Mama Jeff,
dude.
and I have not asked for these investigations to be started. But if you want to calm everyone down, and if you want to calm the police and just diminish the tension and diminish the media attention around this, just find an encrypted way to signal your life that you are alive. If you don't want to talk to them,
That's not going to be good enough. An encrypted way to signal that you are alive could be fabricated, especially by somebody who says he knows how to fabricate things like that. So that would not be good enough. They would have to have... I don't think the police would let this go without some kind of physical confirmation and proper ID, which she apparently didn't take with her, according to JF. So... yeah, right? Okay, so Random's got this. Okay, we're on the same page. We're same page. Me, you, same page. I was like, this is setting up for him to be able to put up whatever he wants, right? Yeah, fake an update. Maybe.
I opened a Proton Mail email. You can send me an email. Prove in that email that, tell me something that only you would know. And that way it would prove that it's you, and the police will be reassured. I think that's all they want anyway.
No. That would not reassure the police. The police would need to go and find out where that encrypted message came from, go and investigate that area, and confirm that she is there. If anything, that would exacerbate the police. That would make it worse.
If you don't want to be located and don't want to be found, that's one way we can use to ensure your safety.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just a call to maybe her parents or extended family, even.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably take care of
Anything
them,
like
right?
this would work.
Okay, gotcha. Now, kind of moving forward, have the investigators
I am
been,
kind of surprised that Andrew didn't kind of get in on that, because that could have been interesting, being like, how do you think an encrypted message is not going to exacerbate the police? So Original says she's either dead and he killed her, dead and he knows where she is, dead and he didn't do it, or missing and doesn't know where she is. I mean, it's also possible, she's dead and he doesn't know, she's dead, he knows she's dead, but doesn't know where she is. Right? Because, if you go and drop somebody off, let's say he dropped her off at the gas station, right? And knowing that she didn't have the equipment to survive, and then was dropped off, or as she was hitchhiking, knew she had dropped her off with the intention or knowing that she was going to fail. That means that that's your plausible deniability of no, she wanted to go on this trip, I set her up to go on this trip, she went off, and then I washed my hands of it, and I don't know where she is after that. But oh, sorry, that was the third option. Okay, sorry, I must have just misread it. Then yes, correct. Quote, something only you would know is such a bizarre thing to say. If you wanted to prove that it was her, it would, how would you expect, what message could somebody possibly, could Mama JF give to JF that could be given to the police that the police would be able to confirm that it was her? Right? Let alone that the public would be able to confirm that it was her. Right? He's talking about this like she's a fucking Skrull, right? Prove to me you're who you are with a safe word. A selfie with today's paper. I don't think that would be good enough. For the police, I don't think so. I think the police would need physical, they would have to have like an officer go and meet. Like if she sent a picture with today's newspaper and a location, or she went to a police station, right? But like, I mean, it would be something that might be more plausible to the public. Like if JF put a picture saying, hey, I got this image, this is a picture, it's not Photoshop, da 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 da, then you would still have some people that would be saying it was faked, and other people who would buy it. So it would be something, though. Say the Skrulls are invading and they kidnap Mama JF. It's plausible as everything else that he said. Say Thanos snapped the fuck out of her.
I mean, this is still ongoing, and clearly you're still working with them. Do you think that this investigation will continue until they essentially find her? Is that what it seems?
Two options.
The way it seems to be headed.
There's two options.
Yes, I mean, this is the practice of the police.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that JF is going to say the correct thing, but I'm just going to say it briefly because he takes 7 years to say anything. There's two options. The police will find her, or she'll be disappeared long enough that she'll be presumed dead. Those are the two options.
That's what they told me. They would do anything. They would do that no matter what. So they say this never goes away. We deploy all efforts possible until we find the person or until we resolve the case.
A Winding Land says, all I can say is what the absolute fuck. Yeah, this is a fair and reasonable response, and I feel like I'm starting to get numb to it.
So that is what they will do. Now, of course, by the nature of investigation, there are investigations that run cold after 1 year, 2 years, and then the investigators will have less traces to follow, less things to look for, less active involvement. But
the cases generally are not closed. They're just a cold case at that point. But that is very dependent, and the length of time is also very dependent. So that I wouldn't personally speak on, but I mean, what he's saying is pretty reasonable.
Philosophy is to constantly pursue any trails of info that gets to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like because at this point it is actually creating, I mean, maybe it's not creating problems for you, but it's definitely creating waves for everybody. And I've kind of heard you multiple times say on your show, like, look, I had nothing to do with this, to Mama JF. Are you afraid that she's going to blame you for that and then, start that process that you were worried about?
No, I don't think she will, but I want it to be clear because because of a fundamental principle that you're not entitled, any of you isn't entitled to know where Mama JF is. That is the truth of liberty. We are in a society that gives you so much things. It tempts you with a driver's license so that, oh yeah, you can drive now. Oh yeah, but now you're carrying an identity card of the state, and now you...
That's not entirely the case. So an individual, sure. However, when someone has gone missing and it does become a cause for public concern, and if there is a concern of murder, now it's a concern of the safety of the populace. It's more like, or of that local area and society. Or if she is mentally unwell, then it is on, like, other people now have to be responsible for her location and her safety. Now, if that person is supposed to be JF, sure, great, but if he's not doing it, then the responsibility falls to other people. And so that then goes to the police, which is what we've seen happen. And then it becomes a matter of public record. And when it becomes a matter of public record, yeah, it is everybody's responsibility, because now everybody is responsible to look for her in these areas, because this was the last time she was seen. And so now everybody's, like, that's the whole point of making a national announcement to say, hey, this person's missing, here's what they look like. So that way everybody can look and find out where she is. And so that way we don't have to know her address, because that's different. But if you make a national announcement saying, hey, we're looking for this person, they've gone missing, and now nationally people are aware and concerned, then it's reasonable to expect the police to make another national announcement to say, hey, we found this person, they're alive and they're okay, and then drop it from there. But he's presenting this as if it's like it's none of your business to know where she is. Well, you kind of made it our business. But on the other hand, yeah, we don't need to know her exact location, right? We don't need to know her docs information. That's a different set of information. And he's just trying to cross these lines. It looks like he's eating shit again. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he's taking these concepts and presenting them as if they're something they're not. And I kind of do wish Andrew delved in on this a little bit more. I don't know why he's not. Maybe he has reasons. Like I said, I don't know this interviewer very well or what his goals are here. His goal might just be to keep him talking. I don't know, but
You are tied in the databases of the state. Oh, here's a cell phone. You can talk to your loved ones. Oh yeah, but now you are basically GPS tracked on every second of your life. We live.
Moncton and particularly New Brunswick still have a lot of like Bell standalone phones, which would have a trackable location on them, but they are in fact a standalone phone. It doesn't follow you. It would just give the location of that phone booth.
Live in a society that has come to expect a demonstration of location for everyone in existence, and the fact is that principally that is incorrect. The state is not entitled.
If he was that concerned about that, then he would be concerned about her being on trucks, because trucks have GPS trackers in them, especially if you're like a truck, like a trucker truck, like a semi truck, because the company wants to keep track of the locations of their trucks. But besides that, we talked about this on the Unnamed Tavern and talked about like the safety of cars and how much information cars can take from you. And so but JF has a car, he dropped her off. If she's traveling by hitchhiking, then that data can be taken. Simple as that. So if he was that concerned about that, I feel like he's fear-mongering about phones. Well, like, this isn't actually like a real concern.
Entitled to know where you are. I am not entitled to know where you are. And yet we have these worried agents of the government that have called the police.
Random, that's a really good idea. I might be able to get you something, actually. Hold on. Can I show transcript? Where did the transcript go? Transcripts are moved to the description. Oh, they're right here. Okay. Boom. Okay, so we got our transcript up here, right? You want to know... Okay, just remember we're at 40 minutes and 22 seconds, all right? Can somebody, like, just keep in mind we're at 40 minutes and 22 seconds? Just in case it jumps. Yeah, comments are turned off. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so you wanted society... Oh, I put an extra E. So there are 13 uses of the word society in this video. The state, actually I'm just going to put state 8. So it does include United States, but 8 uses. There is 102 uses of JF, although I'm not... The transcript has 44 for Mama JF, but I will remind you that JF's accent, the transcript is likely struggling a little bit, and it's also including these two right here. And then if you say worried, there are 11 usages of the word worried, and that could be by either host. So that gives you a rough idea. A rough idea. If you wanted to go through and get an actual counter, it'd be interesting.
Because they noticed, despite the fact that me and Mama JF's family had assessed that she was leaving on a consensual trip, some bureaucrat of the government called.
Yeah, because nobody could fucking believe, like, everybody just has to inherently believe you, right? That sounds very libertarian, right? People shouldn't come to their own conclusions and think for themselves based on the information that they're presented with. Libertarian. God. Libertarian. It says only one. Liberation. Liberation. None. I'm assuming that's going to be his accent. That's like messing with the transcript though. It just seems like a... it just sounds like bullshit. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, somebody out of concern called in she was missing and you didn't. And that's the kicker for people. That's why people don't think you care.
The police and decided to be.
Why do you think it was some bureaucrat government agent that called the police? You don't know who called the police. It says a call from a concerned citizen, which is likely somebody who views your channel. Why are you jumping to it was the government that did this?
Worried. But you are not entitled to your worries. You are not entitled to know where people are. And that is a fundamental principle of society that I believe Mama JF believes in. And I want her to know that I haven't broken it. I don't believe that you are entitled to know where she is if she doesn't want to be found.
Well, I don't think anybody is. I do think, of course, from my perspective, and maybe from many people's perspectives, that it's reasonable if you see somebody often and suddenly they kind of disappear with no accounting, which doesn't sound like happened in this case, but obviously that's going to...
That's what happened to the viewers. That's what happened to them. Maybe not to JF, but that's what happened to the people who regularly view his channel, where she was regularly showing up and then stopped showing up, and then he was talking about how she was just gone all of a sudden. And then he was cleaning his house. So no, that is what happened to, like, his viewership, right? But again, we're conflating, like, knowing the exact, like, everybody just has the right, or the government has the right to know the exact location of every individual versus somebody went missing and now people are looking for them because they are concerned for their safety. These are completely different concepts. And again, he's conflating them to make some kind of political point, utilizing the disappearance and potential death of his significant other, which is kind of just fucked up, especially after trying to pitch his fucking book. Like, bro.
You know, throw concern into a lot of people's brains. Otherwise, this would not be the kind of internet wave that it has become to begin with, right? Where everybody is speculating and armchair detectiving, and it's become quite the human interest piece. Some kind of follow-up questions just to see if we can tie some of this up. After you did drop her off, and I'm guessing that there is actual footage, and like you said, the detective said, "Hey, the car's there. This is all good."
You're taking him at his word.
She didn't go back to your residence, nothing like that, obviously.
No, to my knowledge, she has never traveled back into my direction. So I would expect that where you find her on the line between my house and Quebec, I would expect her to travel toward Quebec rather than toward my house. Of course, I can't know for sure that she didn't come back, but I would be surprised. And I certainly don't know and haven't communicated with her since June 19th.
Random guy said, I think he wants to disconnect the idea of someone calling this in from any intention of caring for Mama JF. He needs it to be an attack on him or a conspiracy from the state against whites, high IQ alpha Chad males, or whatever other manosphere bullshit. Yeah, you're probably right. It's transparent, although confusing. You know what I mean? Like, it's transparent, but also, like... What?
Do you think that there would have come a point where, absent X amount of time, you or her family would have contacted the police after
That's
X amount of no contact?
It is a build up. It's like these curves where eventually you reach a threshold and it becomes unbearable. But given her past behavior, it's totally not out of the question that is still, as of today, that Mama JF is on a regular trip, going with her regular plans. her family member, some very close family member to her, was telling me that in the past she's been switching country and not giving news for months. And so when we were seeing that,
Okay, but 4 months went by. That's multiple months and you still didn't call. So, answer the question. At what point? At 5 months? At 6 months? At a year and a half? How long would it have been before you called? If ever, would you not have called?
okay, it is October, she left in June. That's the end of June, July, August, September, October, 3 to 5 months approximately. That is within the space of what she has done in the past without giving any news. And so that is her choice. And yeah,
So when would you have?
I'm still not super worried, to be honest.
Ask him
gotcha.
the question
I
again.
mean,
He didn't
and
answer.
There may not be anything to be
Boo!
worried about, but obviously the reason that we're all here is because it's become a human interest piece, right? That's everybody and their brother is obviously discussing this.
Then kind of discuss it, because I feel like, I don't know, this is kind of a weird line that Andrew's drawing here that I don't really understand. Maybe it has to do with his content, or he doesn't want to make any accusations, or doesn't want to pressure JF too hard because JF's a little crybaby or something. I don't know. I would think that if his baby mama is missing and he doesn't know where she is, that he would be more upset talking about this. You would think.
And I think in much of the time it's bad faith. Obviously, you've made many enemies on the internet over the years due to your views, and many people, I'm sure, would absolutely love if this were true. And then they could, kind of push against you with it, forevermore. However, many of them...
If he murdered her and went to jail, there'd be nobody to push against. This is a dumb way to say whatever he's trying to say. This interview feels like it's very softball. I guess.
So, I remember back in our very first interview, JF, which was a very good interview, and I appreciated you coming on at the time. We were just starting the channel, and I had asked you a question, and you had responded with, because I've been pushed out of so many of these different circles, I have had to become kind of the orchestrator of my own press.
Why were you pushed out of circles, JF?
Yes, right. I've had to become the kind of pusher of my own, my own press, essentially. And was there a little bit of leaning into this, maybe for the purposes of kind of self-promotion as well?
He already showed his book on your channel. You're asking that now as if it's a maybe, after he already was like, Mama JF disappeared to go sell my book. Are you fucking serious? Now I like Andrew less. Now I'm drawing a line of I was starting to kind of dislike you a little bit. Now I kind of don't like you. Oh well, not that he'll care. That's fine.
No, my position on this is whatever event happens and whatever things you don't control, and do use the opportunity to self-promote.
Sure.
Which is what I'm doing here. And I know that
yes.
Mama JF, one of the things that despite her not feeling like...
Despite that she left me, she would want me to use her death as a way to promote my book, because she just loved me that much, even though she was leaving me. Oh, okay.
Her lifeline was due to continue with mine for now. I know that there is one thing that she holds deeply, and that she will always hold, and that will be true whether she's with me or not, whether she has 1,000 other boyfriends. Mama JF, and that's the reason she came to me first, believes that the revolutionary phenotype must be stopped. And so I don't think that she would take offense.
Is this guy really going to ignore the fact that he is using the question to promote his book? You're fine with this? This is, you want this on your channel? Alright. I mean, I guess this video is gonna get a lot of views, so light him up, yeah, alright. Sure.
At all that I am talking about the book of the revolutionary phenotype, while also covering the case of her disappearance. if there is one message that Mama JF wanted to yell at the world, it is reproduce, have babies, do not let the machines take over.
And I mean,
I
guess we've kind of covered it. There's not that too much more to cover on this. In fact,
I like that he's
because there's
calling
just so
JF
little
boring.
actual information. I guess if there was one more thing that would kind of satiate my curiosity, it's still kind of the lead up. And I understand, she's a free spirit and this kind of thing. You know what I mean? But it's just so wild to think that, hey, just kind of drop me off here and I'm going to put the thumb up, the truckers, and we're gone. And this
is he really not gonna question JF about the difference between JF claiming that he dropped her off with a bunch of camping gear and her showing up 2 hours later with a school bag? Like, you're not gonna ask that? That's not something that you thought would have been a pertinent question?
This had to have had, like you said, months and months of discussion, but she just really never was very specific at all as to where she wanted to end up or where she wanted to maybe send this revolutionary phenotypical message.
You think he looks intimidated?
And who she wanted to give it to. She didn't want the machines to take over. Just kind of nothing like that.
I mean, Mama JF doesn't have the kind of brain that satisfies you with details. Mama JF, and people could see it when she was on the show. I'm a guy who delivers the news, and I know the details, and I'm listing them, and when you get a communication from JF, it's going to be clear and it's going to lay out all of the important details. Mama JF is a different kind of mind. She's not a mind to plan these details. She goes on big IDs and sometimes, honestly, delusional IDs to a certain extent.
So he did go at the beginning of this from saying she was the smartest person he ever met to eventually calling her delusional. Okay. Yeah, nobody's surprised. To the surprise of nobody, right? Like, nobody's surprised by this at all, I would assume. Yeah, he said that she had, the only, thing that she had was a cell phone that she then chose to leave behind, allegedly.
So no, she's not the kind of mind who will say, I'm going to market the revolutionary phenotype by doing ABC. She's just going to follow her emotions, and that is what women do, honestly. In that sense, she's not so different from the average woman. She may be an extreme case of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. I don't know. It's just like the free spirit thing. I get it. I understand women aren't exactly known for their analytical planning generally. Right now, I know that's a
Oh, so you're just a piece of shit. Oh, okay. I know that's a generalization. No, it's a stereotype that ignores that anger is an emotion. But okay.
Generalization. Maybe I shouldn't be looking at the stats on that, JF. Right? But just from my perspective, right? Not always the most analytical minds. But the other thing is the leaving without any cash, no credit cards.
I'm gonna take my ball and go home.
This type of stuff. She does still have to support herself. She has to eat. She has to do these kinds of things. Does she have access to like a joint account? If you were to put money in that joint account and she were to, let's say, take some money out, then that would also be proof of life, right?
Oh, Mama JF knows she can enter a bank that will hand her money at the declination of her identity. But Mama JF is not like this.
Banks don't do that. You need your bank card. Specifically in Canada, if you don't have your bank card and need to file for another one, you need to answer questions and provide ID. If you don't have ID, you have to go get ID. What he just said is nonsense. You don't just declare, I am this person, give me money. That's not how banks work.
Jeff has decided to go on a trip of self-sustainment, and she has done it in the past. No, she doesn't need credit cards and debit cards to survive. Believe it or not, someone was saying on social media, I heard that you can survive without a cell phone for 30 days. Mama JF is that kind of person. She has traveled internationally before without any form of food.
There's a big difference between not having your cell phone on for 30 days and not having access to any money while you're trying to travel across the country, and no food, because the amount of food that she would have been able to stuff into a school bag, assuming she even had all the equipment, is still less than 4 months worth. Hello, sir, I am John. Give me money, please. I want to try this. I'm going to go claim that I'm Mama JF at a bank and see if I can get JF money.
Reserve, any form of support, and any form of electronic or reserves of money. And she can do it. She can survive in the wild. She can survive in the city. And I am not scared at all for her ability to do that.
Okay. And then since she's left, and I know that this is
every
a bit
bank
personal,
in the country knows Mama JF by name.
is your household in a bit of turmoil still over this?
Oh no, my household is in a beautiful state, and honestly, you know, Mama JF, I appreciated her contribution to my life so much, but
He just said, like 20 minutes ago, that people were escalating about how stressed they were about not knowing where she was. What do you mean? Ugh.
she is a
Andrew's
she
not gonna
is a
pick up on any of this
disorganized
because he's like
brain,
barely
and
listening.
honestly, my household is just better organized without her, and my fridge is cleaner, and everything is better
So happy to not
managed.
have her
To
around
my
anymore.
taste, as an autistic man who likes order and cleanliness, of course, perhaps not to her taste, but if she wants control over our household, she can just come back, and I will cede her back to her.
Got you. $10 comes in from KS. He says, "I hope she's okay." So there's quite a few super chats, but most of them we actually
Wow, you're not even gonna be like, yeah, I hope she's okay too. No, I hope she's okay. Cough. Awkward silence. Let's move on.
covered
What the fuck?
the answers to, and some of them are troll chats. I have JF for about another 10 minutes. I only wanted to have him on for about an hour. If you guys have some questions that aren't troll questions,
A
that are
little over
actually
an hour.
pertinent to this, I will ask him those questions if you want to send in a chat. And I'm sure that he's happy to answer them.
How are you defining what is and is not a troll question? I don't know the standard of the channel well enough to have popped in and asked a question without it probably being considered a troll.
But keep it on topic, and we're not gonna talk about anything in too personal of a detail.
Then what's the point?
You know, when it comes to family, children, that kind of thing. So don't even bother with the super chats asking about that. There was a precondition. I'm happy to follow that. So
You should have said that at the beginning of the stream. You shouldn't have said that after the fact. You should have said that beforehand. Yeah, troll question equals any probing question. Yeah, I wonder why the chat is turned off. Live chat replay is off. And I wonder why there's no comments. Weird. I mean, I don't mind limiting questions to a degree. So, like, limiting to them to be on topic or, like, obvious. Like, if there's a super chat that just said, you killed your wife, like, that's not a question, right? Like, that's all, like, okay, fine. But, like, you need to define this shit ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, ugh.
send in
This is barely an interview.
whatever you want. If you have questions about the details of this, I'm happy to ask them to JF now. So, let's see.
Yeah.
Man, there's all over the place, JF. People, it's all over the place. You really started a shitstorm with this, by the way.
Oh, did he? He started the shitstorm by not reporting his missing wife and then saying he doesn't care, and then a concerned citizen who probably was somebody who watched his stream had to call in. He started not the RCMP putting out a missing persons report to like get people to be on the lookout for her. That's not what started the shitstorm. In what way then did he start the shitstorm? The shitstorm then, Andrew?
I'm so good at being hated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all about the hate for you.
So let's
Nobody
see.
could be legitimately concerned.
let's see. JF said she bought a tent, but why didn't she
Shit
take it?
charm.
I think that's a pertinent question.
Shit shrom.
I didn't say
Shit,
she
shit, shit.
bought a tent. She bought camping material. We already had a tent. I do not think that she brought it though. It was a very small backpack she left with, but we do have a tent, and she did buy camping material.
So she just bought a bunch of camping material and didn't take it with her, or you think maybe she brought it with her, but you're not sure if her small backpack would fit a tent. Wow, one question and he just fell apart immediately. Huh. Wow. Go figure. Huh.
But I don't think she left with the tent.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I mean, it according to like the size bag that she was reported having, at least.
Well, and yeah, he should know if it's still at his house or not. She's been missing for 4 months. It's not like she went missing a couple of days ago, and he's like, yeah, you know what? I should check that closet to see if that tent is there.
In this report, I doubt that she would be carrying a tent.
Yeah, it's our tent is in a wrapped bag, and it's pretty big. It's a big cylinder. No, I don't think she would have it.
Yeah, even
Look at he starts touching his
sleeping
face.
tents, they take up a lot of
He's
backpack
nervous.
space. So for
Yeah.
for urban
He's around his
survival,
mouth.
things like that, people don't usually carry that type of thing. Hoping she comes back.
That one question in his whole demeanor just fell up. Where's Exploratory Minds? Get this man back in here. He needs to look, as soon as that question's asked, look at JF's face and watch his fucking demeanor change. Oh my god.
God bless, says this super chat. Now maybe you didn't. Okay, so this one's super easy and straight to the point. JF, did you kill Mama JF? Well, just yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, I didn't think so. But then that's off the table, right? We got it off the table. Is my super chat going to be read? If it's a troll chat, I'm not reading it. It doesn't do anything for. It's not pertinent to this. Why does the JF believe what the police are telling him? Asked Daniel Bourne for $5.
I don't believe what they are telling me on just by the fact that they're telling me, but I have my own way to verify things. For example, when they say that they have last seen her June 19th, the article that they put out was describing her
Yeah, beard.
clothes. And although I didn't quite remember what her clothes were, by looking at the description,
Yeah, it's almost like 4 months went by and you're not sure what she was wearing when she left. Apparently, you don't even think she packed different clothes to think she's wearing the same fucking thing for 4 months. One question, he starts to fall apart. Second question, falling apart further. Falling apart continues.
I can see that this is a true sighting of Mama JF.
Well, at
Because as they
least,
describe her
at least Andrew's chat is putting in some work. You know what I mean?
a full leather jacket, I remember, yes, she did leave with some sort of jacket like this. And so I know that the sighting is real. I can
You live with this woman, you love her, check her closets. What did she like? What clothes did she like to take with her or wear? What was left behind? God, this is so stupid.
know, because the description is totally in line with the way she left.
Well, she probably wouldn't change a jacket out. With a bag that size, I'm guessing she didn't carry many clothes with her. So she probably wouldn't change a jacket like that out anyway. Wouldn't they be able to see that on the security cam footage where you dropped her?
Well, yes, but
What's he
the
reading?
question here by Danielle is not what they can see, is how do I trust the police?
Oh,
Well, my answer is I don't trust the police on statement. I check what they report to me, and I can see that it makes sense.
This one comes in from Raised Fist. He says they may just find her in the streets of Montreal. That's a direct possibility, right?
Absolutely. And as I said, the investigator,
certainly
maybe she doesn't
possible.
want to be found. So it's a all build up, this whole thing that could be a big scare, but that is just a reflection of someone who wanted to be free and doesn't want.
If this was the case and it could just be a big scare, he would still be concerned to some degree. right? Like, if he didn't... Like, he's very confident. He's very confident of something.
To be found.
Okay, Jeff Bruno says if he
So
told Mama
weird.
JF's family that she left in June, why'd the family never contact the police after these couple of months? He actually went into this in pretty good
That's a
detail.
good question.
Just so you
Yeah,
understand.
so I've been in constant contact with her family, and there was always this rotating question of, should we be worried? Should we call the police? And there was a general consensus that emerged, and to each of these people in our family, I've always said, if you want to call the police, go ahead. You know, it might put me in some trouble, it might give me lots of bad public exposure, but I'm not going to judge you if you call the police.
So you put a pressure on them to not call the police because it was going to put you in a bad spot for something that might be unnecessary with how confident he is that she's fine.
And each of the individual who most love her are very
Whether it was
close
intentional
family.
or not.
Each of them have decided not to directly call the police. One of them approached an investigator and laid out the facts of the case to them. And this investigator was a friend of the person. And the investigator says, this looks like a consensual trip. You know, you don't have a responsibility to call the police just because she doesn't want to call you, or just because someone desires some space or freedom. So
if there's an investigation into that officer could potentially get in trouble depending on the situation, assuming that what JF is saying is accurate or true.
Conclusion of everyone, every single person has decided, those people who love most Mama JF, they have decided not to call the police until a bureaucrat of the government did it.
Gotcha.
But
this
he doesn't
one
know
comes
that.
in and says,
But
JF,
he doesn't know it was a bureaucrat of the government. Somebody called anonymously. So it could have been her family members. But they just wanted it to be anonymous so that way you wouldn't know if you got bad publicity from it. Which is what you told them could happen if they called the police. For all you know, she has a friend that exists that wasn't hearing from her.
do investigators have an expected time frame on when they think they may find her?
No.
No, they have no
They
such
won't.
thing, and they wouldn't.
They can't.
They wouldn't share this because it can be demoralizing. If they say we'll find her within the week, and then they don't find her, then people would be desperate.
The police can't make that kind
they
of
would
a
not
promise.
trust the police anymore. So I think the right approach is to state reality as we discover it, and to update, but only on things that are certain. And you
I agree with
can't
this.
make predictions for the future when you're a policeman. Who knows how it will develop? It could be in hours from now, or it could be in years from now. Who knows?
Maria Bela says for $5, but JF, you did say she was a victim of violence in other vids. But you seem here to say that she was able to kind of do all this travel time and this and that without having any real serious or significant problems. I think that she's trying to indicate that maybe there's maybe a contradiction here in terms or something, or maybe there's an explanation.
Yeah, when I said that Mama JF has not been raped in her travels, I'm just reporting what she has told me. She has never been put in danger through her craziness. What the person quotes here is from another context of conversation in which I was not talking about her travelings. I was talking about an event that has traumatized Mama JF at some point in her life, but it wasn't stemming or resulting from her travels.
Fine.
Gotcha. This one comes in
Fine.
from Anonymous. Now, there has been a lot of conflict about this. This is one of the things people fight over the most. Maybe we can just get some clarification on it. He says, JF, if she was mentally ill, would you say so?
It depends, because I don't acknowledge that mental illness is a reason to deny basic individual rights.
Yes, you
including
do.
the right of-
No. He does do that. He thinks that women ought not to be in charge of making decisions because women are not capable of making decisions, and that he called Mama JF fucking delusional. And so if she was delusional, she would not be able to make decisions, especially large decisions, when it comes to just dropping everything and traveling away. So these things go hand in hand.
of free choice for oneself. And so you tell me if she was mentally ill as a factual question. I do not recognize the preemptive power of psychiatry over the rights of individual. I say it's the other way around.
But that still doesn't answer the question. Do you or do you believe that she is mentally unwell?
As an individual,
It's a
you are
separate
free
question.
to go check out a psychiatrist and get services from them, including diagnosis. But it is not the role of a psychiatrist in society
Not the question.
to say, I'm going to imperialistically conquer your individual rights. I cannot go around and say, oh, Andrew, you're schizophrenic. I'm going to take over you, and now I get your house, and now I decide what you should do with your house.
He is completely jumping the shark here. The question was to just... Would you say if you believed that she was mentally unwell, would you say so and explain that she is, not that you should have been responsible one thing or another. These are two separate questions. One could lead to the other one, but you have to answer the first question first, and he didn't answer the question. I'm turning the speed up.
That's what they did with Britney Spears, and I fully object morally on any such things as the takeover of adult rights on excuses of psychiatric diagnosis that they don't consent to.
Yeah, that's been the train trick of Hollywood for, since there has been a Hollywood. Judy Tester says, is there anything we can do to help with the search?
I would simply say, by simply not communicating misinformation and contributing to the absolutely insane environment of invectives and attacks and insults and bad info and bad conclusions, by simply being a neutral being in this whole affair, you would be doing a great deal of good for this search.
I feel like I'm being pretty
and whenever
neutral.
you do have information, then the way to help with the search is to communicate it.
I don't
with
think
the
JF
police.
would
They
think
are
that.
really good. I am impressed by the quality of their work. That's what I tell them every day. Now, it's been a couple of days that they have left me alone, so that there used to be a truck of the feds in front of my house every morning and sometimes at night. And for 2 days now, they have not knocked on my door, and I appreciate it. But my door is always available to them, and they can come to me anytime. But at this point, I've given them everything. I've given them everything they needed to know, so they've left me alone for now. But
So
yeah, collaborate with these guys. I don't think they want to oppress Mama JF or me. And so I think they really want to establish our safety.
Yeah, so you would say one of the best things people could do to help is stop being
He's
hysterical.
going on a
calm
book
down to what the
tour,
facts are.
essentially.
Maybe something along those lines, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair. And I think that judgment should be reserved until there are actual facts people know. And right now, we don't know shit. And that's the truth. We don't know anything. That's why you're here, so that we can try to establish some of those things. This one comes in from...
No. If you were on to establish those things, you'd be asking way more difficult questions, and you wouldn't be relying on your chat to do that for you. What you're doing is just giving him a platform to say whatever the fuck he wants to say with almost no pushback at all. Yeah, he's done a bunch of interviews. Yeah, he's basically doing a book tour.
A wonderful galaxy. And I was kind of curious about this myself. Why do you refer to Mama JF in the past tense?
Well, because she has gone from my life. So, I mean, in French, we don't have this thing where if you talk about someone in the past, it means they're dead. It's like if I talk about, my mother is alive. And if I talk about my mother in French, I will say she did that in the past. She was a secretary. And it's not indicative that she's not.
No, you're not talking, but now you're not talking about the individual in the past. You're talking about verbs, like the things that she did in the past. Those are different things, dude.
Not a secretary anymore. It just means that she was a secretary at the time, or that she has been a secretary for a long time. So personally, it's partly perhaps an influence of French, and also an influence of the fact that
There'd be a difference between saying Mama JF was wonderful. She's not now.
consider that Mama JF has gone out in a way that I'm not physically tied to her anymore. I still consider myself fully dedicated to her interest, but not in the same way as an active spouse who lives on an everyday basis would be.
Mr. Crab says for $5, JF, with respect, you didn't actually answer the question. If she were mentally ill, would you tell us?
Hey, thank you to the chatter for actually cluing in that he didn't answer the question, and he's not putting them on the screen anymore. I don't know why, but whatever.
There is a false premise to your question, that mental illness is a fact. Mental illness is a human judgment. So I will refuse to engage with your question because there's a hidden moral prior in a factual word of your question. It is very grave what you're attempting to do here. And people don't realize how grave it is to talk of mental illness as a fact.
So
mental illness is a
defensive.
human judgment, a moral one that comes
Brain chemistry is a fact, and some people have different brain chemistry, which causes different behavioral results and emotional results. Therefore, fucko.
with intent to take over the life of someone in our society right now, the way they did to Britney Spears and the way they did to others. And I will never participate to this artifice of deception that it is to start claiming that mental illness is a factual description of anything.
It's funny. My wife always says she read.
Yeah, he studied neurology. He was a neuroscientist. He's just bullshitting, yeah.
A great book once, and she always says, mental illness is actually a problem in living, right? That's it's a great quote, I must admit. Paul asks, do you expect to be scrutinized for any future relationships you may have? That seems like a fair question.
I mean, I do not desire to engage in future relationships. I'm super satisfied with what I have in life, and so I'm not looking for a future relationship. It could come to me because I've said I would be open to suggestions, but I wouldn't actively seek a woman.
That's not the question.
Someone like me has always taken a path of life where it's impossible to expect a normal relationship ever. So you say scrutinize. I mean, it's more than scrutinized. When you're a public person, you come up, people hate you before they even met you.
Yes.
People love you before they even met you. People have all their paranoias deployed onto you, and their constructs and their fears are projected onto you. So the kind of life that
Talking about parasocial relationships was a very interesting thing to say after you said what you just did about psychology.
I've chosen is a life of constant scrutiny and constant injustices. People judge me for lies that are on the internet for decades.
At
for a
least he
decade,
acknowledges that he
so
chooses to be here.
I don't know how to answer to your question. Scrutinized, I am scrutinized in every way, and
So
100
yes,
times worse than
the
any
answer would
human
be
being,
yes.
any normal human being.
I mostly just scrutinize you for your
For
actions.
him.
Nope for $5 Canadian says, hey JFG, the trolls and chatter from a Rumble streamer known as Judy Tester. She's a toxic person. I'm sorry you're being attacked so much. I don't know.
Well,
this
that's the
person
life I've chosen. So I've been a streamer from the very first day that streams existed. So that's how far back it goes. I've been forming this community.
Yeah, it
What
seems
people
like
know
it.
today as streaming, I was the first, and we were with 5 watchers on streams, yelling invectives at each other, insulting each other, using dirty language, and I live in this community, and I will forever be tied to this community, and I know the amount of shit you get in this world, and I'm ready to take it.
Gotcha. Mr. Krabs also, he had the mental question. He sent in this follow-up and just said, I appreciate the content, JF, and I hope she's safe. Derek G for $10 says, well, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, dude. We just went over it multiple times. If you guys have any last-minute follow-ups, now's the time to put them in so I can let JF get about his night. And I appreciated him taking the time out. I know that you're coming up on vacation here shortly, taking a few days off from the crazy. That's what
Yes.
I'm told.
And I've been
Oh.
told that by atheism is unstoppable. A man who's supposed to be a rationalist, he has concluded on his Twitter account that it's so suspect that I'm taking 3 days of break when my common law spouse is the subject of a federal case of disappearance. Apparently, it's very busy.
It is bizarre because she's been missing for 4 months. I mean, I don't think it's that bizarre that you're taking a break after, like, doing a bunch of interviews and getting your book out there a whole bunch and then, like, getting a bunch of public backlash where you're expected to answer questions and then now you're deciding to take the break. You didn't decide to take the break when she went missing. You only decided to take a break after you did all these interviews. That's some fair scrutiny right there.
Bizarre that I'm taking 3 days of break
Andrew
to
doesn't
take
look like
time
he's
to
enjoying
manage the
anything.
interviews related to this, to take time to correct people, and to take time to stay mentally healthy throughout all this.
Oh,
I find
I'm
it amazing
jealous.
how irrational these atheists sometimes are. They are right about one thing: the theory of evolution is true, but when it goes to other things, they tend to be a little more weird.
There is a question in chat that I'm curious about myself. Of course, again, don't have to answer it, but it asks, did JF have an open relationship? For some reason, I have a feeling you didn't.
No, I do not do open relationship. I've always told Mama Jeff that I expect full monogamy, and if she wants to
Except that you did say that if she got a boyfriend, you would still be supportive of her as if you were a spouse, just not a spouse in the same way. So there's that, I guess.
have another boyfriend, it has to be following a break of our physical
This is the one
presence
that
around
Jeff
each other.
posted.
I cannot tolerate any other potential fathering children that I could care for. And so there needs to be a clean break. There needs to be, if you ever return to me, there needs to be sexual transmission disease test. And I need also to establish that you have not given one of your eggs to another father. So I need to establish that you have not produced other babies.
How are you gonna?
Those are the
How are you gonna do that with Mama JF if she's been traveling around for a while? How are you gonna do that? I mean, I kind of feel like I want some bog wine, I'm not gonna lie.
Conditions of monogamy, and I impose them in full.
Gotcha. Reddit Silver member says, is it comforting knowing there are so many people out there who care for her and her safety, and they'll eventually find her?
I don't need comfort, because Mama Jeff is a free woman. She has gone free, and I need not to be comforted for the worries of a bunch of fucking normies. You guys are the one worried. I'm the one who fully trusts this woman.
Gotcha. Last question that I'll give you before I let
He said he was worried before, then he said he didn't care, then he said he was worried, then he said he didn't care. He's all over the fucking place. Just Charlotte talking in circles? Yes. Correct.
you go. This one's from the Made by Jim Bob show, who you guys have had so many wonderful arguments. He just couldn't help himself. He says, do theories ever become facts?
A theory is always a theory, but it can be true by the light of certain facts and false by the lights of others.
Gravity
For
is a
example,
fact
the theory
and a
of
theory.
evolution will always be a theory. But there can be facts that come in that force you to accept the theory of evolution. For example, the resemblance between the ribosome of bacteria and the ribosome of humans is a fact that binds you to accept the theory of evolution. It is the only truth
He
possible
cares
to
more about
explain
this than his
the
wife
evolution
missing.
from bacteria to humans. So that's how theories relate to fact. They always supervene onto
Normies.
them. They're always something else, but they can be fully confirmed by them.
Gotcha. JF, is there anything else that you want to
Gotcha.
say in this interview before I let you go? Anything else you want to get out there?
Interview.
Anything else that you want to clarify?
No, I would say to everyone, be a little less imperialistic. Be a little less trying to control what others do. And enjoy life. Mama JF would not want, no matter whether she's alive or dead or she's exposed herself to risks that she didn't want, and there may have been outcomes that she didn't want to happen. No matter what is her current state, she would have wanted in every way that everyone here enjoy their life, enjoy the people
Nobody
you love
trusts
around yourself,
you.
hug them, be happy, and let everyone around you free, and just show your appreciation for existence.
Gotcha. Well,
What he
JF,
explained is not what he's doing. You're 100%.
Gary Eppy, I truly appreciate your time tonight. I know that you have another interview coming up. I
Sure
think,
you do.
is that with Dick Masterson? Is that what I heard?
I will be on Dick Masterson tomorrow, on Sunday, and I will be on Lauren De Laguna, a streamer about true crime stories, on YouTube tomorrow.
Well, good luck with Lauren De Laguna. I hope.
Is she? Do you know her?
I do.
So tell me about her. Should I be worried?
It will be woman prattle on overdrive nonsense. It'll all be about her. That's Lauren De Laguna for you. If I were you,
You
I
don't
would
like
go
her.
into your kitchen and grab a hammer and smack yourself about the head and shoulders with it several times before I would sit through an interview with Lauren De Laguna. That's just me, though.
Oh no.
Look at his face.
I said yes to her, and Papa JF always provides to accuse me.
Just saying. You're gonna send me. you're gonna
Here's
send me
that
a video, you're gonna be
interview.
like, Andrew, you were right. That's all that's gonna happen, JF. I'm just saying. Just saying. Anyway, JF, Gary Eppy, have a great day. Thank you for making this your first interview on this topic. I know that there was some things the audience wished that I could have gotten into, but there's parameters for every interview.
You didn't get into anything.